Chapter 2844. Whoosh. At this time, Xia Ping came to the last Hell City. In fact, this was also the largest, most mysterious and most well-preserved Hell City in the Demon God's relic. As there was a powerful restrictive formation here, he stayed behind to explore. This was to ensure that nothing went wrong. Alright, let's go in. Xia Ping stared at the Hell City and activated the Hell Golden Crow's eye. He saw the flaws in the restrictive formation. Even though this was the most well-preserved Hell City, with the passage of time, the restrictive formation had been mostly destroyed. As long as he found a flaw, he could push it gently and it would all collapse like the Daguemino reaction. In an instant, he pointed a finger and bombarded one of the flaws in the restrictive formation. Dong. Suddenly, the entire Hell City shook violently as if there was a super earthquake. The restrictive formation of the entire city had a chain reaction and there was a series of explosions. Rumble. Immediately, all the restrictive formations in the city collapsed, revealing the true appearance of the city. An ancient, savage, eternal, and deathly aura permeated the air. It was as if a demon lived in this city. Obviously, this Hell City was different from the other places. It occupied a supreme position and could be considered the core of the Demon God's relic. Xia Ping did not hesitate. His body flashed and he immediately entered the Hell City. This is a palace? After entering the Hell City, Xia Ping immediately found that he had not come to an ordinary city, but a boundless palace. It seemed to be even bigger than the palace of the real demon god. He saw that in the middle of the palace square, there was a huge corpse. This corpse was too huge. Standing in front of this corpse, Xia Ping felt like he was a speck of dust, not even comparable to a cell in its body. At the same time, this corpse was filled with a terrifying demonic aura, as if it could collapse the sky. Even with Xia Ping's strength, he could not stand in front of this corpse. The void of hell in all directions seemed to have been shaken, and dense void cracks appeared like a spider web. The blood that flowed out from its wounds had passed countless eras, but at this moment, it seemed to be alive. It was as if every drop of blood was beating, filled with terrifying energy. This is a giant elephant. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. Under the perception of his divine sense, he could sense everything within a radius of 40 million light-years. Although his body was very small, he could easily perceive the true appearance of this corpse. This was, without a doubt, a black mammoth that contained the terrifying bloodline of a demon god. Its skin was covered with numerous hellish runes that contained the purest essence of hell energy. System, do you know what kind of demon god this is? Xia Ping immediately asked the system. Although he did not know what kind of creature it was, there was no doubt that it was a top-notch demon god. It was not inferior to the divine beast Kuan Peng that he had encountered before. In fact, it was even more terrifying. That's a sovereign demon god, Hell's divine elephant, hearken. The system replied. What? Upon hearing this, Xia Ping's body trembled, and his eyes revealed a frightening glint. Di Ting, the infernal divine elephant, was a terrifying fiend celestial that was as famous as the infernal golden crow. Its corpse had actually appeared in this place. He could not imagine the shock in the depths of his heart. The legendary supreme demon god of hell had actually appeared in front of him just like that. Could this place be the palace of the infernal divine elephant? However, this is not the complete corpse of the infernal divine elephant, hearken. It's just a part of its flesh. Because of the battle, a piece of its flesh fell off and accidentally smashed into this palace. The system said. It was just a piece of flesh. Xia Ping was a little dumbfounded. Just a piece of flesh was so terrifying and it was so huge. What kind of joke was this? Just what kind of creature was a demon god? If it's just a piece of flesh, why is it in the complete form of a giant elephant? Xia Ping asked. Because every piece of the demon god's flesh has the ability to form a true body and has extraordinary memories of the demon god. After countless years, it naturally turned into the demon god's true body and tried to be reborn. Unfortunately, it failed and died a horrible death. The system said. Xia Ping immediately understood. Just like how a sage could rapidly regenerate a single cell, a demon god's flesh and blood cells had the ability to be immortal. Even if a trace of it escaped, it could be reborn again and return to its true body. Unfortunately, the infernal divine elephant, hearken, had gone through an unknown level of attack that even its regenerative ability had disappeared. All of its soul energy was destroyed and turned into ashes. That was why this situation had happened. However, even a piece of flesh contained a terrifying demon god's power. If an ordinary invincible demon entered this place, they would probably be crushed into a pile of meat paste by the aura. Only Xia Ping, who had the support of the Green Lotus Hell's origin, could remain conscious in the face of the infernal divine elephant, hearkens pressure and barely withstand it. What is a sovereign demon god? Xia Ping thought of this question. The system's authority is insufficient, unable to answer. The system said, unable to answer? Xia Ping had originally thought that he would be able to know all the secrets now that his strength had increased to this level. Unexpectedly, there was still a limit to his authority. Most likely, he would only be able to know when he advanced to the demon god realm. However, according to the information revealed by the system, there was also a division between demon gods. Moreover, the difference between demon gods was extremely great. Just then, Xia Ping sensed an anxious and excited voice coming from the world tree in the depths of his sea of consciousness. What? You want to devour this demon god's flesh and blood? Xia Ping immediately sensed the world tree's thoughts. It seemed like as long as it devoured this demon god's flesh and blood, the world tree would be able to grow to an unprecedented level. Even the abyssal demon god might not be able to compare to the world tree. Although the abyssal demon tree seemed to be amazing for devouring 18 god corpses, quantity could not compare to quality. Even the corpses of 1,000 ordinary gods could not compare to a sovereign demon god's flesh and blood. This was the huge difference. Since you want it, then take it. Xia Ping said to the world tree. Boom. In an instant, the world tree's main body directly flew out from the depths of Xia Ping's sea of consciousness. Its endless roots pierced into the infernal divine elephant, hearkens flesh and blood, excitedly devouring the energy of the demon god's flesh and blood. The world tree's power was also rapidly increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye, and its aura was constantly strengthening. Sogu website. Chapter 2845. It seems like I have more confidence in dealing with the abyssal demonic tree. Xia Ping could not help but clench his fists when he saw the appearance of the world tree. There was no doubt that this was a huge opportunity for the world tree to evolve. He could not imagine how much the world tree would grow. Perhaps even the abyssal demonic tree could not compare to it. By the way, this hell divine elephant truth listener's blood seems to be very suitable as my fifth avatar. Xia Ping recalled his origins avatar technique. He had previously condensed 4 avatars, namely the World Tree avatar, the Hell Golden Crow avatar, the Gaia avatar, and the Kunping avatar. Now that he had obtained the Hell Divine Elephant's blood, he would definitely be able to condense a 5th avatar, which would be the Hell Divine Elephant avatar. After all, this was a terrifying fiend celestial that could be compared to the Hell Golden Crow. An avatar condensed using its blood would definitely surprise him and be extremely powerful. With this thought in mind, he also collected a portion of the Hell Divine Elephant's blood as materials to condense an avatar. Is this the Hell Divine Elephant Truth Listener's palace? Xia Ping ignored the piece of fiend celestial flesh lying on the square. At that moment, the world tree had completely occupied it as though it had become the owner of the palace. Under the perception of his divine sense, the entire palace was enveloped within the range of his divine sense. Everything was visible to him. Oh, no way, there are so many Hell Dharma treasures here? In an instant, Xia Ping sensed that one of the rooms seemed to store a large number of Hell Dharma treasures, such as the Hell Spear, the Yin-Yang Soul-Locking Chain, the Morning Staff, and so on. These Dharma treasures, which were difficult to find in the outside world and were known as the Hell Divine Elephant Truth Listener's weapons, were in large numbers in this room as though they were worthless. By the way, if this place is the Hell Divine Elephant Truth Listener's palace, it means that it's only natural for there to be a weapon vault here. There are also a large number of Hell Dharma treasures stored here for the Hell Divine Guards. Xia Ping instantly understood this matter. Swoosh. Without hesitation, his figure flashed and immediately came to the room that stored a large number of Hell Divine Guards' weapons. He directly opened the door of the room. Although this place also had restrictive arrays and they were very powerful, after such a long period of time, they had already collapsed. With a light point of his finger, all of the restrictive arrays had collapsed. Therefore he could easily enter the treasure vault of this weapon. So many Hell's magic treasures. After entering the room, Xia Ping's eyes went wide and he held his breath. He could sense that the magical treasures of Hell in the room seemed as if they had never been used before, as if they had just been forged not too long ago. Moreover, there were many treasures from Hell. After a careful count, there were at least 100,000 of them. They were most likely the treasures left behind by the prison guards from the previous era of Hell. However, it seemed that these Hell magic treasures had not been handed over to the Hell prison guards. They must have been forged not long ago, and then the war broke out. After that, these weapons were left in the treasure vault, not used by any Hell prison guards. Perhaps it was also because of this that these underworld magic treasures were left behind, not destroyed. However, it doesn't seem as powerful as the hell treasure I have. Xia Ping sensed for a moment and discovered that although these hell magic treasures could be considered to be sharp and powerful, and had the potential to become divine artifacts, they clearly couldn't compare to the Hell Spear, Yin-Yang Soul-Locking Chain, Morning Staff, and other hell magic treasures that he had obtained. It was as if one was a greenhorn soldier, while the other was a general who had been on the battlefield for a long time. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. The difference was too great. System, do you know why there is such a difference? Xiaoping asked. Every Hell Prison Guard's magic treasure is the same. They are weapons that can grow. They need the owner to go through countless battles and experience before they can grow to their peak, making people tremble in fear at the mention of their name. The system replied. I see. Xiaoping nodded, indicating that he understood. According to the system, this was because these hell magic treasures were actually magic treasures that could grow, and the hell magic treasures in the warehouse had just been forged and had not seen blood at all. If one wanted these hell magic treasures to grow, they must kill, and devour the enemy's soul and flesh and blood essence. Only in this way could they grow to their peak state. As for why the hell magic treasures in Xiaoping's hands were so powerful, it was because the hell prison guards who wielded these hell magic treasures had gone through fierce battles. It was unknown how much blood of demon gods and how many enemy souls had been devoured on the Hell Spear. Therefore, it was precisely this kind of slaughter that allowed the Hell Spear in Xiaoping's hands to grow to the level where it could kill demon gods. Its sharpness was enough to make demon gods tremble in fear. Therefore, the strength of these hell magic treasures depended entirely on the individual. If there were hell prison guards who wielded these hell magic treasures in their initial state, slaughtering countless demon gods, then they could grow step by step, reach the peak and even become Yama King. But there are actually so many hell magic treasures. I've struck it rich this time. Those invincible demons finally have weapons. Xiaoping sighed. He thought of the 1,000 invincible demons he had subdued. These invincible demons were actually considered extremely poor. They basically had no hell magic treasures on them, and they were all bare-handed. But it was different now. From this demon god's palace, he had obtained a total of 100,000 hell magic treasures. This way, the invincible demons he had subdued would have weapons. With the help of hell magic treasures, their strength would definitely increase by a lot. Of course, if they wanted to grow to the level where they could kill demon gods, they would probably need a long time to cultivate. But for these invincible demons, this was nothing at all. Another half a day passed. Xiaoping searched everywhere in the palace, but he did not find any more treasures. The entire palace was empty. It seemed like the original treasures had all crumbled and turned to dust over time. No matter how powerful an item was, it could not withstand the passage of time. However, obtaining 100,000 standardized hell magic treasures was still a huge harvest. One should not be too greedy. It's about time. Xiaoping's eyes flashed. After days of plundering, all the treasures had been plundered clean by him. Not a single drop was left. All the evil spirits and devils were locked up. Even if all the restrictive arrays in the demon god's ruins collapsed, there was no need to worry about the Green Lotus Hell being affected. Therefore, he had already made preparations. The next step was to destroy the restrictive arrays in the entire demon god's ruins, so that the Green Lotus Hell would completely devour this hell fragment and make it his. Chapter 2846. Dong Dong Dong. Xiaoping personally attacked. He operated the infernal golden crow's eye and pierced through the flaws in the array formations of the demonic god ruins. Immediately, the array formations of the entire demonic god ruins produced the effect of Dominique Mino. The entire demonic god ruins was already on the verge of collapse. It had been eroded by the passage of time. In addition to the destruction of the hell world, it was already on the verge of collapse. Previously, no abyssal had been able to see the flaws in the fiend god ruins array formation. Therefore, the entire fiend god ruins array formation had yet to collapse. It looked intact, but in fact it was already riddled with holes. However, under Xiaoping's attack, the array formations of the demonic god ruins immediately collapsed. Rumble, suddenly the entire demonic god ruins trembled. All the array formations collapsed, and the area within a radius of hundreds of thousands of light years exploded. It was as if an area had been destroyed. Terrifying destructive waves spread out in all directions with the demonic god ruins as the center. Everywhere it passed, everything was turned to dust. Mountains and rivers collapsed and were obliterated. However, there were no demons in the vicinity of the demonic god ruins, so the collapse did not kill any demons. However, such a huge tremor attracted the attention of countless demons in the Green Lotus Hell. They also felt the intense tremor as if there was a super earthquake. What's going on? Did something happen in the Green Lotus Hell? The invincible demons immediately woke up. They sensed that this was not as simple as an ordinary earthquake. It was as if the center of the earthquake had produced terrifying fluctuations of the demonic god, destroying everything. This kind of destructive fluctuation caused them to feel waves of palpitations. Even though they were in a state of closed-door cultivation, they suddenly woke up. They were shocked and bewildered. They had no idea what was happening in the Green Lotus Hell. Don't worry. This must be Master's doing. Only Master can cause such a huge commotion in the Green Lotus Hell. An invincible demon stood up and stabilized the morale of the demons, indicating that this was definitely Xia Ping's doing. I see. The invincible demons also calmed down. They could not help but nod. Xia Ping was the master of the Green Lotus Hell, the overlord of this hell plane. He controlled all the source power. Who could cause such a huge commotion right under his master's nose? There was no such demon in the entire hell world, so the person who could cause such a huge commotion in the Green Lotus Hell was none other than Xia Ping. But what did Master do to cause such a huge commotion? Such a large energy fluctuation. It seems to be coming from the Fiend God ruins. It can't be. Did Master attack the Fiend God ruins? He will definitely take action. With Master's strength, it wouldn't be strange for him to clean out the entire Fiend God ruin. That's not the way to put it. The Demon God's ruins contain the terrifying power of the last hell era. There is even the power of the Demon God. Even if Master controls the power of the origin, it is not 100% safe. That's true. The lords of other high-level hell planes do occasionally have Demon God's relics, but they don't dare to casually explore them. They're afraid of dying. But since Master dares to explore, it proves that he has great confidence. I believe that nothing will happen to Master. Many invincible demons discussed among themselves. Their divine senses probed the area, wanting to get to the bottom of it. Even if they weren't worried about Xia Ping's safety, they still wanted to know what had caused such a huge commotion in the Fiend God ruins. They were all extremely curious. Look, the Fiend God ruins have really collapsed. An invincible demon's divine sense penetrated the area. He immediately discovered that the terrifying Fiend God ruins, which was originally covered with densely packed restrictive arrays, had now completely collapsed, revealing its original form. 129,600 hell cities suddenly appeared in the Green Lotus Hell. A huge amount of hell's origin energy spread out and surged into the entire Green Lotus Hell. Really is. Is this the true appearance of the legendary Fiend God ruins? Many invincible demons exclaimed. This was the first time they had seen the complete Fiend God ruins. They could all sense the ancient, magnificent, immortal and eternal aura of the Fiend God ruins. It was as if they were incomparably insignificant in the face of such power, unable to withstand a single blow. The Fiend God ruins seemed to have merged with the Green Lotus Hell. Some invincible demons exclaimed. Their divine senses sensed that the entire Green Lotus Hell was trembling. A terrifying origin energy seemed to have instantly enveloped the hell cities. It was like a giant beast was slowly devouring the hell cities, taking all the origin energy for itself. Hell's spacetime was distorted, creating layers upon layers of folded space. Endless amounts of hell's essence energy seeped out from the cities of hell. The Green Lotus Hell is evolving. One by one the invincible devils roared. They could sense that after the Green Lotus Hell devoured the entire Fiend God ruins, the hell cities were all merged into the Green Lotus Hell. This caused the Green Lotus Hell surface area to expand further. The Green Lotus Hell surface area was rapidly expanding. It was like the sea was turning into mulberry fields. The land was expanding, the mountains were rising, and the sea was becoming deeper. In just a day the entire Green Lotus Hell surface area had expanded tenfold. One must know that the Green Lotus Hell surface area was already extremely large, far larger than the average high-level hell plane. But now it had expanded tenfold. What a ridiculous change. They had never seen a high-level hell plane evolve so quickly in their lives. It was simply sensational. The origin energy is also strengthening. Is this a joke? How can it grow so quickly? Is it going to advance to the Fiend God plane? The invincible demons were overjoyed. It was fine if it was just the surface area. 4 high-level hell planes, a large surface area didn't mean much. What was important was the hell's origin energy. If there wasn't enough origin energy, it wouldn't be able to support the advancement of all the demons. Why was it that there were so many invincible demons in hell, but none of them could advance to the Fiend God realm. Was it because they weren't talented enough? No, that was impossible. The only reason was that there wasn't enough energy in the world to support their advancement. It was just like how there weren't any cultivators in the end of days. If there wasn't enough energy, they wouldn't be able to advance to the Fiend God realm. That was why the Fiend God throne was extremely important to the invincible demons. It was the foundation for them to advance to the Fiend God realm. Chapter 2847. Rumble. When the demonic god's ruins collapsed and merged with the Hell of the Green Lotus, the massive amount of demonic god source energy flowed into the Hell of the Green Lotus as if it was free. This caused the Hell of the Green Lotus's source energy to increase at a geometrical rate. 1 time, 2 times, 5 times, 10 times. In the end, the Hell of the Green Lotus's source energy actually increased by 30 times. Heavens! All the invincible demons were going crazy. They had never seen a hell plane with such rich source energy. It was as if every breath they took could increase their cultivation. Cultivating here was like a holy land for cultivation. 1 day of cultivation here was equivalent to thousands of days of cultivation elsewhere. They were not on the same level at all. They'd been to many high-level hell planes in the past, and had experienced the abundant essence power there. However, compared to the Hell of the Green Lotus, those hell planes were nothing. All the invincible demons were greedily devouring the source energy around them. They could feel their magic power increasing and even their bloodlines improving. If even the invincible demons were like this, then the primordial demons, primeval demons, and other weaker demons could feel it even more clearly. Their magic power seemed to have improved by leaps and bounds. The endless source energy was like a bucket of water being poured into them. This was what it meant when a man achieved the Tao, his chickens and dogs would ascend to heaven. When the Hell of the Green Lotus evolved, all the demons in the Hell of the Green Lotus would benefit tremendously, allowing their cultivation to increase rapidly. But this was only the change on the surface. In fact, a more profound change was happening deep under the Hell of the Green Lotus. The Yellow Springs River, which had only been flowing in the demonic god's ruins, was now gushing out. The Yellow Springs River connected the underground rivers of the Hell of the Green Lotus, occupying every underground vein. It was as if the entire underground world had been hollowed out, forming an underground world. Bridges of helplessness spanned across the Yellow Springs River. It was a spectacular sight. The power of the Yellow Springs River was also fused with the Hell of the Green Lotus source. It seemed to be one with the Hell of the Green Lotus, which allowed the Hell of the Green Lotus source to devour the power of the Yellow Springs. This caused even more incredible changes to the Hell of the Green Lotus. Amazing! At this moment, Xia Ping was floating in the air above the Fiend God ruins. He could sense the changes that had occurred to the Green Lotus Hell. It was as if he had obtained endless benefits. The Green Lotus Hell seemed to be evolving towards the demonic god plane. It already had a hint of the glory of the previous hell. The 129,600 hell cities were scattered in the center of the Green Lotus Hell. They did not collapse. Instead, they fused with the Green Lotus Hell. In fact, when the hell cities merged with each other, they seemed to form a huge hell barrier, which naturally became a terrifying restrictive spell formation that prevented other fiend devils from entering. Of course, this was not the original demon god restriction, but a naturally formed restriction power. However, this was also good. This place would become Xia Ping's temporary palace, and no demons would be allowed to enter. This would also be his seclusion place in the future. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. After devouring the demon god's ruins, the changes to the Hell of the Green Lotus finally stopped. At this moment, the entire Hell of the Green Lotus was beyond recognition. It was completely different from before. First, the area of the Hell of the Green Lotus Hell had increased by 30 times compared to before. This was simply the boundless territory of Hua Weiwen. So far, according to the invincible Fiend Devil's introduction, this was the largest high-level hell they had ever seen. Perhaps there might be other places in hell that were larger than the Hell of the Green Lotus Hell, but they had never seen it before. So, it could be called the largest in hell. Secondly, the source energy of the Hell of the Green Lotus Hell was more than 100 times stronger than before. This was a terrifying number that could drive countless fiend devils crazy. It was unknown how many fiend devils that had been stuck in bottlenecks had advanced. It seemed that just the number of medieval and ancient fiend devils had increased by hundreds of millions, and the number of primordial fiend devils had increased by hundreds of thousands. There were even dozens of invincible fiend devils that had advanced. These fiend devils had all benefited from the advancement of the Hell of the Green Lotus Hell. Finally, there was the Yellow Springs River. Most of the Yellow Springs River was hidden in the underground rivers of the Hell of the Green Lotus Hell, but a small portion had turned into rivers on the surface, filled with the terrifying power of the yellow springs. This was also considered a forbidden place by countless fiend devils. They didn't dare to approach it. However, Xiaoping didn't care about the changes of the hell of the Green Lotus Hell. To him, there was no need to consider the changes of the hell of the Green Lotus Hell. It would form naturally. During this period of time he used the blood of the Hell's Divine Elephant, Di Ting, and finally condensed the fifth clone, the Hell's Divine Elephant. At this moment in a quiet room in the original palace. Boom. Immediately, a huge black Hell's Divine Elephant appeared in the quiet room. Although it wasn't as huge as the Hell's Divine Elephant in the square, it emitted the same demonic pressure. Dense mysterious patterns appeared on its body, as well as the scriptures of the Great Path. It was filled with the terrifying aura of the law, as if it was the law itself. At the same time, every cell in its body contained terrifying power. It seemed like it could shatter the vacuum if it charged slightly. No divine abilities, spells, or laws could stop it. Whoosh. Instantly, all the information about the fifth clone, the Hell's Divine Elephant, surged into Xiaoping's sea of consciousness. Fifth clone, Hell's Divine Elephant. Divine Ability 1. Listen to the sound of the Tao. Its ears are connected to the heavens and earth, and it can listen to the sounds of the endless world. As long as it's willing, no secret in the world can hide from its ears. Divine Ability 2. Distinguish between good and evil. It's born with a good heart, and it can distinguish the sins of countless criminals. It can distinguish between friend and foe. No enemy can hide their sins and hostility in front of it. Divine Ability 3. Hell's Law. Under the law trial, its power can also distinguish between friend and foe. It can instantly kill all enemies who are hostile to the Hell's Divine Elephant with a single strike. Those who are kind to the Hell's Divine Elephant won't be harmed at all. Divine Ability 4. Divine Elephant Tyrant Body. In the Tyrant Body state, its body can be immune to all control spells, and it can reduce physical and soul attack damage to the greatest extent. Divine Ability 5. Heavenly Manifestations. Its power can shatter everything, shatter space, shatter natural laws, and ignore all magical techniques. It is the most powerful devil god in hell, and all living beings bow down to its power, trembling in fear. Its 4 hooves have suppressed trillions of hell's planes. Even demon deities with immortal bodies were crushed into minced meat by it, and they died without a complete corpse. Chapter 2848. Impressive. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He could sense how powerful the Hell God Elephant was after sensing all the divine abilities of his fifth clone, the Hell God Elephant. Every divine ability had the power to penetrate the heavens and earth. As expected of a demon god that could rival the golden crow of hell. It was so powerful that it made one's hair stand on end. He had struck it rich this time by obtaining the blood of the Hell God Elephant. After all, the blood of a demon god wasn't easy to obtain. If hell was at its peak, he wouldn't even be able to meet it, let alone obtain its blood. It could be said that this was definitely a great opportunity. Beep beep. At this moment the system's voice sounded. Warning host. Warning, there is a powerful murderous intent heading towards the host. Please take note, take note. What? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He immediately received a huge amount of information from the system, which was transferred to the depths of his sea of consciousness. Immediately, images appeared one after another. Void monsters are attacking? Xiaoping immediately sensed an endless number of void monsters charging towards the Hell of Green Lotus. It seemed like they would reach the Hell of Green Lotus in 3 days' time. Moreover, the number of void monsters was more than 100 times greater than the ones that attacked the Hell of Green Lotus previously. Such a number of void monsters could simply destroy everything. Even a high-level hell plane wouldn't be able to withstand it. In history, the number of void monsters that attacked a hell plane could be counted on one hand. However, every time they appeared, a high-level hell plane would definitely be destroyed and countless demons would die. Is it for revenge? Xiaoping knew that the other party definitely wouldn't let him off easily after he killed so many void monsters previously. However, he didn't expect the void monsters to come so quickly and cause such a huge commotion. It was really unbelievable. Fortunately, the power of the entire Hell of Green Lotus had advanced before the void monsters arrived. The power that could be bestowed on him had also increased by more than 10 times, causing his combat power to be even more terrifying. Most importantly, he had enslaved thousands of invincible demons. The number of invincible demons had actually exceeded the number of ordinary high-level hell planes. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the hell world was currently the strongest high-level hell. Therefore he wasn't too worried. Instead, he was a little excited. This is an opportunity. A chance to understand those void monsters. To be honest, Xiaoping had always wanted to understand the origins of these void monsters. Where did they come from? What was their goal? Unfortunately, he had no way of capturing these void monsters alive, nor could he obtain any information from them. Previously, he had almost succeeded. Unfortunately, there seemed to be a restriction formation in the depths of these void monsters' sea of consciousness. Once the restriction was triggered, his soul would instantly shatter and he would die without a complete corpse. Even the power of the true demon god could not force them to reveal their secrets. But it's not like there's no other way. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. In fact, he had already thought of a way. The reason why the restrictive array was activated was because the enemy had asked them for information. However, if he used the power of the true demon god to transform into a void monster and then used the power of illusion to control the other party, it would be equivalent to him becoming one of the void monsters. In that case, no matter how much information he asked, it would not trigger the restrictive formation. This was actually the weakness of the void monster's sea of consciousness restriction power. Of course, they still had to try whether they could succeed or not. There was no point in saying too much now. Let's gather those invincible demons first. Thinking of this, Xiaoping immediately summoned countless demons to an open square. The location was naturally not this central palace, but outside the cities of hell. After all, he did not want the secret here to be known by these demons for the time being. 2 hours later, all the invincible demons, primordial demons and other high-level demons gathered on this open space under Xiaoping's command. When these demons gathered together, they emitted an extremely terrifying aura. It was like a group of demons dancing in a frenzy. It already had a bit of the aura of countless demons gathering in the Abyss world. It might even be more terrifying than the Abyss world. Master. One by one, the invincible devils greeted Xiaoping respectfully. I summoned you here because I have something to tell you. The enemy is coming. Prepare for battle. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. He tapped lightly and immediately displayed the scene of the void monster's attack. What? All the evil demons were greatly shocked, and their hearts were practically suffocating. Their pupils constricted and they were extremely terrified. Even they had never seen so many void monsters gathered together, and this was simply unprecedented since time immemorial. If it was any other time, they would have fled the Green Lotus Hell in fear. Those who returned to the Boulder Hell returned to the Boulder Hell, and those who returned to the Toxic Hell returned to the Toxic Hell. However, after being subdued by Xiaoping, they calmed down no matter how terrified they were. Master, what do you want us to do? An invincible demon asked. Very simple. Kill them all and leave them in the Green Lotus Hell. Let their corpses become nourishment for the Green Lotus Hell and let it ascend to the demonic god plane. Xiaoping said in a low voice. This? The demon's pupils constricted. They had heard of what happened in the Green Lotus Hell previously. It was because they killed countless void monsters and devoured their origin energy that the Green Lotus Hell evolved to this stage. Could it be that their master wanted to repeat the previous victory? But master, there are so many void monsters. I'm afraid we won't be their match. An invincible demon said in a low voice. It wasn't that it was afraid of battle, but the difference in numbers was simply too great. Moreover, these void monsters were basically undying existences. Even if they were invincible demons, it would be hard for them to destroy these void monsters. Don't worry. I've already prepared the weapons for you guys. Xiaoping waved his hand and immediately threw out the treasures of hell, placing them on the ground. These are hell's treasures? Oh my god, how can there be so many of them? Too powerful. These are the legendary hell's treasures? The invincible demon's eyes widened as they exclaimed in shock. This was the first time they had seen so many hell's treasures. It was truly inconceivable. Honestly speaking, if they had hell's treasures, their combat strength would instantly increase by several folds. This was the huge effect that hell's treasures had on the combat strength of demons. That's right. These are all hell's treasures. I'll temporarily bestow them to you guys to use. If your performance is outstanding, you can have them. If anyone dares to cower, I'll slaughter them. Xiaoping looked at this group of invincible demons. Don't worry, master. We'll definitely fight the void monsters to the death. The group of invincible demons shouted out. Chapter 2849. Several days later, the endless army of void monsters finally arrived near the Green Lotus Hell. They swarmed over, blotting out the sky. Black fog filled the air. From afar, they were even bigger than a mid-level hell plane. Everything in their path was devoured, leaving no corpses behind. They were like a natural disaster in hell. Wherever they went, everything was turned into nothingness. So this is the Green Lotus Hell? What a beautiful hell plane. I really want to destroy it. Strange. According to the information, the Green Lotus Hell doesn't have such dense origin energy. Is there a need to ask? The corpses of those idiots must have fused with the Green Lotus Hell after they died. That caused the level of the entire hell plane to rise. Those despicable demons. They used the corpses of our companions as fertilizer. They're just food, but they're so arrogant. This time we must eradicate them all. Right? And that demon who inherited the demonic god's authority has to be eradicated. Such an existence shouldn't exist in hell. Otherwise our plan will be ruined. The void monsters discussed among themselves. Waves of unique ripples appeared in the void as they spoke in the void language. It seems like many demons have gathered in the Green Lotus Hell. There are thousands of invincible demons. Since when are there so many invincible demons here? One of the void monsters seemed to have sensed the situation in the Green Lotus Hell. I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. In the face of absolute power, all resistance is futile. We can also eliminate all these invincible demons. That's right. This is a plan that kills two birds with one stone. Not only can we get rid of the demon who inherited the demonic god's authority, we can also get rid of these invincible demons. This is greatly beneficial to our plan. Enough nonsense. Let's do it now. I can't wait to devour this hell plane. The origin energy in this place must be delicious. The void monsters laughed cruelly. They emitted an extremely evil aura that seemed to distort the void of hell. It was terrifying. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The void monsters surrounded them from all directions. They seemed to distort the void. No demons could teleport out of this place. They simply formed an encirclement. The countless demons in the Green Lotus Hell had nowhere to escape. Strange. Why aren't these demons stopping us? One of the void monsters was a little confused. It realized that its army of void monsters had charged into the Green Lotus Hell without any hindrance. There were no devils to stop them. One should know that the previous battles had taken place outside the hell plane. All the demons fought the void monsters outside the hell plane, afraid that they would destroy the hell plane itself. After all, if they were to fight within the infernal plane, the invincible demons' battle would probably cause severe damage to the infernal plane itself. Who knew how many years it would take to repair the damage? Therefore, countless demons hoped to stop the void monsters from entering the hell plane. However, they weren't obstructed at all when they tried to invade the hell of the Green Lotus. It was simply as if the hell of the Green Lotus had opened its doors and allowed them to enter at will. I'm not sure. I reckon that after seeing our army pressing down on their borders, they have long since fled in fear. They simply don't dare to stand before us. A void monster snickered. That's right. In the face of such a huge army, these demons simply don't have any strength or means to resist. Let's take a step back. So what if there's a conspiracy? In the face of our powerful strength, everything else is nothing. Let's do it. Most importantly, we have to find the demon that inherited the authority of the demonic god. As long as we kill this guy, our mission will be considered half a success. The other weaker demons won't matter. That's right. Find that demon immediately and kill him. Many void monsters discussed. Their divine senses scanned through every corner of the Green Lotus Hell, hoping to find the demon that inherited the authority of the demonic god. Such a demon was very special. His bloodline was thick. Among the weaker demons, he was like a firefly in the darkness. He couldn't hide at all. Found him. That demon is right in front. He's right in front of us. At this moment, a void monster couldn't help but shout. Rumble! In an instant, Xia Ping and the other invincible demons appeared in front of the void monsters. They looked down from above. A formless and terrifying domain power enveloped the hell void in all directions. Xia Ping looked at these void monsters calmly. His soul fused into the Green Lotus Hell. In an instant he mobilized all the source energy of the entire Green Lotus Hell. Immediately the entire Green Lotus Hell shook. In an instant 129,600 layers of energy barriers appeared, covering the entire Green Lotus Hell and isolating it from the outside world. It was like an eggshell. However, this wasn't to defend against the enemies from the outside world. Instead, it was to imprison all these void monsters so that not a single one of them could escape. Damn it. What is this demon trying to do? He actually sealed off the Green Lotus Hell? Are they trying to commit suicide? One of the void monsters was dumbfounded. It had no idea what was going on. One must know that 1 trillion void monsters had appeared this time. It was almost half of the combat strength of the Void Monster's nest. Against such a combat strength, any high-level hell plane would be annihilated. All demons would tremble in fear at the mention of it. However, these demons were different. Not only did they not escape, they even sealed off the Green Lotus Hell, isolating it from time and space. What were they doing? Were they trying to commit suicide? Cutting off their own path of retreat? No. I'm afraid they aren't trying to commit suicide. They are trying to prevent us from escaping. One of the Void Monsters guessed. Damn it. What kind of joke is this? Prevent us from escaping? These demons are crazy. They are completely crazy. Who do they think they are? How dare they do such a thing? Prevent us from escaping? This is the biggest joke in the world. Many of the Void Monsters were going crazy. They were simply going crazy from anger. They had run amok in hell for such a long time. When had they not been domineering? They were the only ones who dared to kill demons. But now these demons were simply too arrogant. Not only did they not escape, they even dared to prevent them from escaping. From the looks of it, they were trying to annihilate all of them. How arrogant was this? How arrogant was this? They had never seen such arrogant demons in their lives. They didn't even care about the Void Monsters at all. Chapter 2850. Kill all these demons. The leader of the Void Monsters roared furiously, creating waves of terrifying void ripples, transmitting the order to every Void Monster. Clearly, it was completely enraged, and it had to kill these demons to appease the anger in its heart. Rumble in an instant, the Void Monsters roared at the same time, creating terrifying void fluctuations. They exploded with void energy cannons that blasted out in all directions, creating waves visible to the naked eye. The destructive power of this void was extremely terrifying. Wherever it passed, mountains would be crushed. Even an invincible demon would be heavily injured by the laws of life and death if they were struck by this attack. Kill. But at this moment, thousands of invincible demons and trillions of ordinary demons were already prepared. They had already formed a hell formation, fusing their powers into one. If it was before, these demons would have their own selfish motives. They wouldn't have been able to unite, cooperate, and form a formation like this. But after being subdued by Xia Ping, they all became the kin of the Golden Crow of Hell. They were all loyal and couldn't go against Xia Ping's orders. They were also unprecedentedly united. So when these demons gathered together, they formed a hell formation and exploded with unprecedented energy waves. Rumbled formation after formation erupted from the bodies of these demons. It seemed to have turned into a super hell energy barrier, like an ancient turtle shell, covering all directions. These energy barriers seemed to be layered, and countless hellish runes circulated, producing super strong defensive power. It was as if countless laws of time and space had condensed here. The defense was even more terrifying than the world barrier. In an instant, the attacks of the Void Monsters arrived and bombarded the energy shield, causing an unparalleled explosion. Even the surrounding void was distorted, as if dense void patterns had appeared. The land was flattened in an instant, and the mountains within a radius of hundreds of thousands of light-years were vaporized, turning into ashes. Fortunately, the source of the Hell of the Green Lotus had been upgraded again, which made the plane itself extremely sturdy. Otherwise, the attack just now would have been enough to break the Hell of the Green Lotus. Of course, after the upgrade, the Hell of the Green Lotus was immune to such destructive power. Even if countless mountains were destroyed, it wouldn't be able to damage the foundation of the Hell of the Green Lotus. As long as Xia Ping willed it, these mountains could be restored again. If he didn't have this ability, Xia Ping wouldn't have placed the battlefield in the Green Lotus Hell. Damn it. They can actually block our void cannon. When did these demons become so powerful? One of the Void Monsters was dumbfounded. To be honest, they had gathered armies several times in the past to attack the higher planes of Hell, and they had always achieved a crushing victory. Normally, a single attack from them would be enough to destroy an entire plane of Hell, killing countless fiend devils. It was like a baptism of nuclear warheads, destroying everything in its path. But now their all-out attack had been blocked by these fiend devils. This was completely beyond their imagination. So that's how it is. No wonder you were so arrogant earlier and even wanted to cut off our path of retreat and wipe us out. So, it turns out that you've grasped a hell formation and even trained it. The leader of the Void Monsters roared angrily, laughable, truly laughable. These vile devils, do they think they can stop us Void Monsters just by using a formation? You're dreaming. Charge into the formation and don't be afraid of death. Tear apart all the demons for me. It immediately realized that the void cannon was no longer enough to deal with these fiend devils. The hell formation could easily block all their attacks and eliminate the ripples of the void. But it had seen this situation many times. As long as they charged into the formation and slaughtered all the fiend devils at the core of the formation would collapse on its own. If it were any other race that charged into the formation, they would be courting death. But they were void monsters and had indestructible bodies. Even if they were blasted into countless pieces, they could rapidly recover. They weren't afraid of dying together with their enemies. On the contrary, they preferred to die together with their enemies. That was the only way to achieve glorious results. Rumble, in an instant, the void monsters were no longer gathered together. Like a flood, they flooded over, attempting to destroy the hell formation set up by the fiend devils. Kill? The invincible fiend devils had long since anticipated this. If it were any other time, they would have long since been scared out of their wits and fled. But they had someone backing them up, and in addition to the hell formation treasures they had obtained, their battle prowess had increased by who knew how many times. One by one, the invincible fiend devils charged forward, wielding their hell spears and stabbing forward. Dong, dong, dong. In just an instant, the vanguard army, which consisted of at least 1,000,000 void monsters, were instantly pierced through by the hell spears. Their entire bodies were shattered into pieces. The originally tough outer shells of the void monsters were now as weak as tofu. They couldn't withstand the sharpness of the hell spears at all. Haha, these void monsters are really too weak. An invincible fiend devil exclaimed in excitement at the sight of this. To be honest, it had never felt so exhilarated before. Why were the void monsters so hard to deal with? It wasn't that these void monsters were stronger than the fiend devils. It was just that their bodies were special. Firstly, they had tough outer shells. Ordinary means couldn't penetrate the outer shells of the void monsters. Therefore, the fiend devils couldn't withstand the attacks of the void monsters at all. Most of the time, they were exhausted to death and still couldn't break through the defenses of the other party. If that was the case, how were they supposed to fight against the void monsters? But with the hell spears and other hell formation treasures, they realized that these void monsters were too weak. With a single stab, their outer shells would be penetrated and their bodies would be easily shattered. This feeling made them incomparably excited. Foolish fiend devils, do you think you can kill us just like that? We are the undying and indestructible void monsters. We are existences that cannot be killed. The outcome of this war has long been decided. A void monster roared. In midair, the fragments of the void monsters that were shattered by the invincible fiend devils seemed to be wriggling as if they were alive. They quickly gathered together as if they wanted to fuse and return to their original state. This was the most terrifying characteristic of the void monsters. Undying and indestructible. To be honest, this was the truth that caused the fiend devils to retreat again and again. Even if they expended a great deal of effort to shatter the bodies of the void monsters, they would still be revived in a single breath's time. However, in a single breath of time, the void monsters revived again. Anyone would collapse and fall into despair. There was simply no way to fight this battle. Sogu Reading Website. Chapter 2851. Previously, the demons were also extremely fearful and despairing of the void monster's undying characteristic. After a battle, not a single one of them died, but more than half of them were injured or killed. As time passed, the void monsters became stronger and stronger, while the demons became weaker and weaker. This also caused the demons to fear the void monsters more and more, viewing them as their natural enemies. Foolish void monsters, we've already made preparations. You still want to revive? Die all of you. An invincible demon laughed sinisterly and took out a dark golden talisman. This was a flame talisman that Xiaoping created. It contained the infernal golden crow's flames. Before the battle, he created billions of flame talismans with the goal of restraining the void monster's flesh and blood. As long as the void monster's undying characteristic could be restrained, they would be lambs waiting to be slaughtered. In the next second, it threw this dark golden talisman out and smashed it on one of the void monster's flesh. Instantly, this dark golden talisman surged out a dark golden flame. Haha, foolish demons, what effect do you think a small flame like this can have? Are you taking it out to be a joke? You're simply crazy. When one of the void monsters saw this, he burst out laughing in mockery. But in the next second, this wisp of dark golden flame suddenly burned crazily. It was as if a flame had encountered oil, and the flames rose crazily. In just a breath's time, what was originally a flame instantly turned into a ball of flames. This ball of flames was like a single spark that could start a prairie fire. As long as the other void monster's flesh and blood came into contact with it, they would start burning rapidly. Ah! Damn it, what kind of flame is this? What kind of flame is this? Why can it burn our bodies? Stop, you bastards, hurry up and stop. Extinguish the flames, immediately extinguish the flames. Don't come into contact with these flames. It seems like these flames are specifically burning our flesh and blood, as if they appeared using our flesh and blood as fuel. This bunch of damn demons, what kind of method did they find? How can it restrain us void monsters so much? One after another, the void monsters let out shrill cries. They were extremely terrified. They had never been so afraid before. One had to know that they had relied on their indestructible bodies to rampage through the infernal plane, consuming demons as food. They had never encountered a worthy opponent. But now, hell actually had a way to restrain the undying characteristic of void monsters like them. This instantly scared them half to death and their souls scattered. This meant that they no longer had the means to run amok in hell, which was equivalent to crippling most of their martial arts. This was a fatal blow. It's useful, it's really useful. As expected of Master, he's too powerful. These flames can really burn these void monsters to death, rendering their undying characteristic useless. An invincible devil shouted excitedly. To be honest, it was still doubtful of the flame talismans that Xiaoping took out. After all, the terror of the void monsters had long penetrated deep into the hearts of every demon. They also found it hard to believe that there was anything in this world that could cause fatal harm to the void monsters. But since it was their master's order, they had no choice but to obey. But when they saw this scene, they were so excited that they were about to go crazy. If there was a way to deal with the undying characteristic of the void monsters, it meant that the greatest threat of the void monsters had disappeared. Ordinary void monsters were no longer a threat to the devils. In the future, those void monsters that rampaged through hell might all be killed by them, and the entire infernal world would truly welcome the era of demons. So that's how it is. Previously, there was also a large group of void monsters that attacked the Green Lotus Hell, but these void monsters all died. Before this, I was still wondering how those void monsters died. Now, it seems like they must have been burned to death by Master's flames and turned into fertilizer. An invincible devil suddenly came to a realization and recalled what happened in the Green Lotus Hell. Aha, the end of these void monsters is here. They were so arrogant before, relying on their undying body to carry out suicidal attacks at the slightest provocation, blowing us up one by one. Now such flames can burn them to ashes. Let's see how they carry out suicidal attacks and burn one after another. An invincible devil felt unprecedentedly refreshed. Previously they were bullied so badly by these void monsters. They were practically food, and the moment they were discovered, only death awaited them. Now that they had found the weakness of the void monsters, there was no need to fear them anymore. Kill them and burn them to death. One by one, the invincible devils shouted excitedly. Previously they were still doubting their chances of winning this war. But after witnessing this scene, they no longer had any doubts. As long as the flames burned and turned into a sea of flames, these void monsters would all be burned to death. Rumble instantly, these invincible devils worked even harder. Wielding their hell spears, they smashed the void monsters that were charging at them into pieces. Then they grabbed with their hands and tossed the pieces of the void monsters into the sea of flames formed by the Golden Crow Hell Flames. Instantly they were burned to ashes. In the end, the Golden Crow Hell Flames grew bigger and bigger, burning through half the sky. The entire sky seemed to have turned into a sea of flames. What a decent fuel. At this moment, Xiaoping, who was hiding in the depths of the void, was extremely satisfied when he saw this scene. He didn't even need to do anything in this battle. Just these demons and the infernal Golden Crow Flames were enough to slaughter all these void monsters. This was because the Golden Crow Hell Flames were way too effective against the void monsters. They were practically their natural enemies. One could even say that the flesh and blood of the void monsters were the best fuel. It was better than any fuel that Xiaoping had ever seen. Of course, he could also gain endless benefits from it. Each time he burned a void monster to death, a portion of the source energy would fuse into the hell of the Green Lotus and another portion would flow into Xiaoping's body. While Xiaoping could sense that the mana in his body was rising steadily. Originally, it would take millions and millions of years of bitter cultivation to condense mana. But after burning these void monsters to death, he could instantly obtain it. This saved him a lot of time and resources. It was better than any treasured medicine in the world. He could feel that he was getting closer and closer to the full cultivation of the immemorial ancient state. But the improvement of his powers wasn't the most important. The most important thing was that his Golden Crow Hell bloodline was rising as well. Countless Golden Crow Hell cells were awakening. Chapter 2852. Bastard, these demons actually found a way to deal with us. Run immediately. Bring this news back to headquarters and let them know. These demons are our greatest enemies, the strongest enemies in history. We have to eliminate them as soon as possible. Otherwise we will be doomed in the future. We can't continue fighting. We have to escape and send the news back. Many of the void monsters were terrified. This was the first time they felt fear. These flames were their greatest nemesis, causing their immortal bodies to lose their effects. How could they be a match for these demons now? To be honest, the reason why they could run rampant in hell was because of their undying bodies. If they didn't even have this advantage, they would be no different from other life forms. Moreover, the other party outnumbered them. There was no way they could fight this battle. So. In an instant, countless void monsters fled in all directions, trying to escape from the Green Lotus Hell. But it was only at this moment that they realized that the entire hell of the Green Lotus had been sealed. The void had been sealed. Let alone escaping, even sending a message was impossible. They realized that these demons weren't courting death. Instead, they were confident that they could annihilate them here. That was why they dared to do such a thing. But it was too late for them to realize this. Damn it. Even if we die, we have to drag these demons down with us. That's right. We won't die anyway. Even if we die, we can be reborn. There's no need to be afraid of them. Self-destruct and perish together with these demons? The void monsters were furious. They knew that they couldn't defeat these invincible demons. As the saying went, evil comes from the guts. Even if they self-destructed, they had to drag these demons down with them. Self-destruct? Have you asked me? At this moment, Xia Ping sensed the movements of these void monsters. He immediately sensed the movements of these void monsters. Clearly, these void monsters wanted to self-destruct and perish together with the other demons. If they succeeded, it was unknown how many demons would be killed or injured. These demons were his subordinates and could be considered his property. If too many of them died, it would hurt him. Naturally, he couldn't let these void monsters succeed. Thanks to the battle between the invincible demons and the burning of the Golden Crow Inferno, almost half of the void monsters were burnt to ashes by the Golden Crow Inferno. The other void monsters were also dejected and were no longer as insufferably arrogant as before. Illusion technique, one thought to create myriad worlds. In an instant, Xia Ping walked out from the depths of the void. With his body as the center, waves of tyrannical psychic power spread out, producing terrifying illusory fluctuations. His illusory abilities were already extremely powerful, reaching the realm of condensing hundreds of illusory worlds in an instant. Now, with the support of the Green Lotus Hell's essence power, his illusory abilities had reached an unprecedented peak. With a single thought, he could create over 10,000 illusory worlds. In an instant, tens of thousands of illusory worlds came crashing down and stacked on top of each other, covering the remaining void monsters and pulling their souls into the illusory worlds. Countless illusory runes immediately fused with their seas of consciousness, seemingly forming an illusory restriction formation that sealed them completely, causing them to fall into an illusory world, unable to extricate themselves. Too powerful. Xia Ping clenched his fists. He was extremely excited. To be honest, he did not expect the power of illusory arts to reach such a level. It simply ignored the defenses of these void monsters. As long as it was a life form with a soul, it would be instantly pulled into the illusory worlds, as though they had fallen into a nightmare world, causing them to be unable to distinguish between reality and illusion. Moreover, this power could not be resisted. Even if these void monsters had extremely strong defenses, they could not resist spiritual illusory arts on the spiritual level. Whoosh! At this instant, all the void monsters stopped and floated in midair, dumbfounded. Clearly they could not move at all. What's going on? An invincible demon saw this scene and was a little dumbfounded. Those ferocious void monsters that wanted to self-destruct just now were now motionless. What exactly happened? To be honest, it was extremely vigilant just now. After all, if these void monsters self-destructed, it would definitely produce earth-shattering destructive power. If one did not resist it seriously, even an invincible demon would be blown to death. This was the terror of the void monsters. Even if they did not have any combat strength, they were super terrifying nuclear bombs. It's Master. Master has made a move. These void monsters are actually not moving at all. It seems like they are being controlled and have fallen into an illusion. Master's strength is really too strong. To think that even these void monsters could be pulled into an illusion. Isn't that so? It's not like there weren't any demons who tried to use illusory arts against these void monsters in the past. However, it was completely useless and they even suffered a backlash. Indeed. It said that these void monster seas of consciousness are engraved with extremely powerful and mysterious restriction formations. Ordinary illusory arts cannot break through such boundaries. So what if they are powerful? Master still took care of them in the end. The invincible demons discussed and looked at Xia Ping in midair with great admiration. At this moment their admiration for Xia Ping had increased. However, Xia Ping did not care about the discussions of the invincible demons around him. His attention was completely focused on these void monsters. In fact, killing these void monsters was only the first step. Most importantly, he wanted to know the secrets of these void monsters. He wanted to know where they came from and why they were in the infernal world. This was his most important goal. Interesting. This is a sealing restriction, a karmic restriction, and a 5-elemental restriction. No wonder it can prevent secrets from leaking. In an instant, Xia Ping scanned with his divine sense and immediately sensed the many complicated restriction formations in the depths of these void monsters' seas of consciousness. It seemed like in order to prevent these void monsters from leaking secrets, a great existence had engraved a sealing restriction in the depths of their seas of consciousness to prevent others from searching their souls. Once someone tried to break through, the restriction would immediately detonate and blast the void monster to death. At the same time, the surrounding life forms would not be able to withstand the explosion and would be blasted to death. Apart from this, there was also a karmic restriction. It seemed like if the void monsters tried to leak information about him to other life forms, they would immediately detonate the karmic restriction and die. This was a double-edged sword. It could prevent secrets from leaking, but it could also be used by outsiders, causing these void monsters to die tragically. This was a double-edged sword. It could prevent secrets from leaking, but it could also be used by outsiders, causing these void monsters to die tragically. Chapter 2853. But even if I'm interrogating these void monsters, it won't do if I can't understand their language. Fortunately, I've consumed the universal translation fruit and finally understood their language. Xia Ping stroked his chin. In fact, he had consumed the universal translation fruit before. In just a few breaths' time he could understand the language of the universe. In the beginning he could not understand the void monster's language. But as time passed and he came into contact with them more, he finally understood what they meant. Therefore, language was no longer a problem for him. At this thought, he did not hesitate and asked one of the void monsters, "Where did you come from?" Instantly, waves of void fluctuations appeared in the depths of the void. They seemed to form the void language and were transmitted to the void monster's sea of consciousness, allowing them to hear them. At this moment, the void monsters had fallen into Xia Ping's illusion and fell into tens of thousands of illusory worlds. It was impossible for them to wake up. They had completely treated Xia Ping as their companion and were chatting casually. "We're from..." The void monster subconsciously wanted to answer, but at that instant the restriction formation deep in its sea of consciousness was activated. A destructive wave erupted from its body. Suppress. The moment Xia Ping made his move, a massive wave of world law energy enveloped the void monster, forming a transparent world cage that easily enveloped it. In that instant the entire void monster immediately exploded. Even its soul was shattered, producing a terrifying destructive force. Of course, under the suppression of the world cage, the explosion wave did not spread out and did not affect the surroundings. Looks like deceiving this void monster's soul isn't enough. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He initially thought that as long as he deceived the void monster and made it not think that he had leaked the secret, it would not trigger the restriction formation deep in his sea of consciousness. That way he would be able to get the secret easily. But now, it seemed like the restriction formation deep in the void monster's sea of consciousness did not care about that. As long as he tried to leak the secret to outsiders, it would immediately explode, whether it was intentional or not. In order to deceive this restriction formation, I'll probably have to deceive even the laws and make the restriction formation think that I'm one of them. That's the only way to deceive the world. Xia Ping felt that only the true demon god's power could do that. Only such power could deceive the laws in the Great Tao, and even distort the Great Tao laws. I am a void monster. In an instant, Xia Ping immediately used the authority of the true demon god on him. A power that could deceive and distort the laws of the Great Path emanated out, causing the laws in all directions to turn illusory. Crash! Immediately, the power of demon gods that distorted the laws enveloped his body, as if he had transformed into a void monster. Even his soul was identical to that of a void monster, and even the laws of cause and effect were distorted. He felt as if he had developed a sense of intimacy with these void monsters, as if they were comrades to begin with. What a powerful force. Xiaoping was amazed. To be honest, no matter how many times he used the power of the true demon god, he was still amazed. Such power was simply beyond common sense. The true demon god's words were definitely true. Even if it was false, it would definitely become true. Reversing cause and effect, reversing true and false, neither true nor false, neither false nor empty, this was an unimaginable realm. Brother, where are we from? At this moment, Xiaoping asked, looking at the other void monster. This time he didn't trigger any restrictions. Clearly, the cause and effect restriction that was engraved in the depths of these void monsters' consciousness didn't think that Xiaoping was an outsider. Instead, they treated him as one of the void monsters. If he leaked this information to an outsider, he would naturally die. But if he was one of them, no matter how many secrets he revealed, there wouldn't be any problems. Idiot, did you lose your memory? We are from the evil god universe, the key of the gate Yag? We are the dependents of the evil god Sotheth, a void monster said matter-of-factly. Key of the gate Yag? Sotheth? What's his background? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. Shut up, you idiot. How dare you be so disrespectful to the Lord? He knows everything about time and space. He is the great existence of the Silver Gate Key, and also the great God that created us. This void monster said fanatically. God. Xiaoping's heart was in turmoil. He didn't expect the god to be standing behind these void monsters. But didn't they say that the gods were long dead? Why did they still exist? And what was the meaning of this evil god universe? Without a doubt, these void monsters contained earth-shattering secrets. He calmed himself down and continued to ask, what does the evil god universe mean? It's literally what it means. The evil god universe is the universe world that we live in. There are many great evil gods in the place where we were born. They possess unimaginable godly powers. The void monster said, and this place is the hell universe. It is just a place that our evil god universe invaded. Life that is born in hell is our food. What? Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He asked carefully. Based on what this void monster said, there were endless universes in the chaos world. Each universe was unique. Some were single universes, some were multiverse universes, some were plane universes, etc. Moreover, most of the life forms in the universe were unable to leave their original universe. They didn't even know that there were other universes outside. After all, just the universe itself was huge. One wouldn't be able to explore it in a lifetime, so where would they find the time to explore beyond the universe? But the evil god universe was different. They had developed to the extreme and gave birth to many evil gods. Could be said to be the era of the gods. They were so strong that it made one's hair stand on end. To seek development, they had already broken through the boundaries of their original universe. They found a way to head to other universes and opened a space-time tunnel to other universes. And the Hell world was one of the universes that these evil gods found. Thus, they opened a space-time tunnel and invested a large amount of troops in an attempt to invade the Hell world and plunder the resources of Hell. But because they were life forms from the evil god universe, once they entered other universes, they would be targeted by the origin of the other universes. They would be greatly suppressed. The stronger the life form, the greater the suppression. There might even be heavenly wrath that could kill even the evil gods. Thus, the evil gods couldn't enter at all. They could only send their subordinates in to slowly devour the entire Hell world. And these void monsters were the dependents of the evil gods. Chapter 2854. To prevent any wrong information, Xiaoping didn't just ask one void monster. He also asked the other void monsters, especially the leader-class void monsters. It was obvious that such void monsters would know more. I see. As he asked more questions, Xiaoping gained a better understanding of the evil god universe. In fact, many evil gods in the evil god universe didn't invade other universes to develop but to survive. One must know that even a seemingly eternal universe would have life and death. However, because the lifespan of a universe was too long, it was considered eternal to ordinary life forms. Many evil gods were born in the evil god universe. On the surface they seemed to be flourishing, but they were in a state of decline. After all, each god needed to devour a large amount of resources from the universe. It could be said that the more gods there were, the more resources they would consume. As the evil god universe was flourishing, Too many evil gods were born, causing the resources of the entire universe to deplete quickly, speeding up the universe's death. It could be said that the evil god universe had entered a period of decline and was about to be destroyed, starting the next universe epoch. However, these evil gods claimed to be immortal. How could they be willing to die along with the universe? They tried their best to find a way to prolong the universe's decline. In the end, they found a way. Since the universe was declining due to the depletion of resources, they would plunder resources from other universes to make up for the loss of the universe's source. Without a doubt, this method was effective. To a universe, if it could devour the source energy of other universes, it would naturally strengthen its own universe's source energy and prolong its aging period. It was said that some powerful universes had used this method to live to their second, third, and even fourth lives. The gods that lived in such universes were naturally extremely powerful. However, this method wasn't without its flaws. After all, plundering resources from other universes was equivalent to starting a war with them. Once a war broke out, the consumption of resources would increase exponentially. If they couldn't take down the opposing universe in a short period of time, it would speed up the destruction of their own universe. Fortunately, the evil god universe was extremely powerful. After several universe-level wars, they won and plundered large amounts of the universe's source energy to prolong the lifespan of the evil god universe. However, it only prolonged its lifespan. After all, different universes were different. Some were weak while others were strong. The evil god universe was undoubtedly one of the stronger universes. Its origin energy was tyrannical. The universes they destroyed belonged to the weaker ones. Even if they obtained the origin, they could only slightly extend their lifespan. They could not live a second life. This time, the fiend god universe had their eyes on the underworld. This was because the level of the hell world was almost the same as the evil god universe. Moreover, it was still in the growth stage and was far from reaching its peak. This made it the best prey for the evil god universe. If he succeeded, the evil god universe would be able to extend his lifespan and live a second life. How do I destroy the universe? Xiaoping was very curious about this. He asked these void monsters in detail and very soon he understood. It was also very simple to destroy the universe. The first method was to kill most of the life in the universe, losing all the soul source energy. This way the universe would enter a state of decline. This was because life itself was a part of the universe and was born by the universe's origin. If a life died and was absorbed by another life form in another universe, it would be equivalent to the other universe plundering its origin energy. The second method was to destroy every continent, every planet, and even every plane of the universe and devour the land's origin energy bit by bit. As long as more than 90% of the land was devoured, the universe would collapse naturally. Therefore, the war between universes was very cruel. Basically, one side would die and all the races would be wiped out. However, the hell world was not so easy to take down. Even if they found a space-time tunnel to enter the hell world, they would be suppressed by the origin of hell because they were creatures of other universes. The evil gods could not enter the hell world at all. Otherwise, they would be killed by the origin of hell. Origin suppression? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. In fact, he was not a creature of the hell world, but he was not suppressed. Instead, he was supported by the origin of hell. This was probably because he had the bloodline of the golden crow of hell in him. Therefore, the hell world recognized him as one of them. Therefore, he was not suppressed by the origin. It was the same for Luna. She was Xiaoping's dependent, so she was naturally recognized as a member of hell. Because of this, only creatures below the rank of evil god could enter the hell world. However, even so, they were greatly suppressed by the plane of hell. They were weak and could not compare to demons of the same level. Moreover, the number of demons was endless. No matter what, the hell world and the evil god universe were on the same level. Therefore, the evil gods suffered serious setbacks at the beginning and suffered heavy losses. In order to change the situation, the evil gods used their own flesh and blood to create void monsters that could be said to be immortal and had the bloodline of the evil god. These void monsters had the characteristic of being immortal and were extremely difficult to kill. At the same time, they could devour other flesh, life, and souls to increase their strength and speed up their growth. It could be said that they were the strongest war weapons of the evil gods. Once they were sent out, they would be successful in every endeavor. Even the souls of these void monsters were bound to the evil god altar. Even if their physical bodies were destroyed, their souls would return to the evil god altar and be rapidly reborn. Therefore, these creatures from the evil god universe did not fear death and fought without fear. Evil god altar? Xiaoping clenched his fists. He finally understood why these void monsters were so arrogant. It turned out that they relied on their immortal bodies. Once they died, they could be reborn in the evil god altar. Therefore they were fearless. With such a weapon of war, the devils were forced to retreat step by step, holing up in the infernal plane to defend. If this continued, it was only a matter of time before the demons were annihilated. This was something that was undeniable. Fortunately, Xiaoping came to the hell world and barely managed to stop the attacks of the evil gods. It was obvious that these void monsters had met their nemesis. Even the power of the evil god altar could not stop the flames of the golden crow of hell. Before their souls could return to the evil god altar, they were probably burned to death by the flames of the golden crow of hell. And the flesh and blood of the evil god was the best fuel for the golden crow of hell. This was just like how everything in the world had a counter to each other. Chapter 2855. Spacetime Passageway? Xiaoping squinted his eyes. From the words of these void monsters, he knew that spacetime passageways to other universes existed. Some were formed naturally. Just like how he went from the real universe to the hell world, this spacetime passageway was formed naturally and extremely sturdy. It could be considered a miracle in the universe. Some were created artificially. Just like the evil god universe, some of the stronger evil gods roamed the chaos, shuttling between universes in search of powerful universes. When they found a universe, they would observe the weakest part of the universe and use their powerful god power to forcefully open a spacetime passageway to connect the universes. It was obvious that the evil god altar was opened by many evil gods using a large amount of god power. It was the only passageway that connected hell and the evil god universe. From this spacetime passageway, one could go from the evil god universe to the hell world and from the hell world to the evil god universe. It was said that in order to open this stable spacetime passageway that crossed the chaotic void, many evil gods were heavily injured and fell into a deep sleep. Until now they had not woken up. Evil god universe? Xiaoping clenched his fists. He could feel the hell golden crow bloodline in his body boiling. To other living beings, these evil gods were the most terrifying beings. They couldn't be looked at directly. They were indescribable existences that couldn't be stopped at all. However, to the golden crows of hell, these evil gods were the best fuel and food. If he could burn all these evil gods to death, the benefits he would obtain would be unimaginable. He would reach the supreme realm instantly and even surpass the hell golden crow's realm. It seems like I can make a trip to the evil god universe. Maybe I can find an opportunity to become a god. Xiaoping's heart stirred. He felt that if he wanted to surpass the invincible sage and become a god, he would have to head to the evil god universe. There would definitely be a way to become a god there. And it was not just the evil gods. Even the evil god's minions, if he could burn them to death, would bring him endless benefits. Because at his current realm, if he wanted to break through, he did not know how much resources he would need to consume. After all, he had the 9 general consciousness seas which formed the 9 great worlds. The resources he needed were endless. He might not even be able to find so many resources in the modern universe. Even if he could find it, he didn't know how long it would take. Not to mention advancing to the realm of gods. If he did not think of a way, even if he advanced to the realm of invincible saints, he would be trapped in this realm, unable to break through until the end of time. Forget it, let's not think about this for now. Since I found out about these secrets, these void monsters are useless now. I'll just burn them all and turn them into nourishment for me to reach immemorial full cultivation. Thinking of this, Xiaoping's eyes flashed, and a terrifying flame circulated in the depths of his pupils. Rumble, in the blink of an eye, boundless infernal golden crow flames erupted from his body, instantly covering a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers, forming a boundless sea of fire. And in the depths of this dark golden sea of fire, there seemed to be a terrifying golden crow of hell. It stood on 3 legs, emitting a terrifying demonic aura that suppressed the heavens and earth. Master. So that's how it is. Master has inherited the bloodline of the demon god? No wonder it's so terrifying. Not only did he inherit the bloodline of the demon god, but he also inherited the authority of the demon god. This kind of bloodline power is like the demon god himself. No wonder his strength is so domineering. With this kind of strength, even without the support of the Green Lotus Hell Source, he can probably fight invincible demons. Seeing this scene, all the demons were shocked. All of them prostrated on the ground. Even if they were invincible demons, they could not resist the pressure of the demon god. This was the suppression from the bloodline. At the same time, all of them were convinced, and their hearts were filled with extreme respect. At the end of the day, hell was still a world where the weak were prey to the strong, and the strong were respected. Whoosh! The moment the infernal golden crow flames appeared, they immediately pounced on the bodies of the void monsters. Instantly, like fire meeting oil, a huge reaction occurred. Ah! What happened? What the hell happened? Weren't we fighting with these demons just now? We were about to win. How did this happen? Illusion. We fell into an illusion. We were all in an illusion just now. It was all a dream. Impossible. We are the dependents of the evil god, void monsters, undying existences. How could we fall into an illusion? How could such a ridiculous thing happen? We can't block it. We can't block such flames. Hurry up and run. Kill yourself. As long as we kill ourselves, our souls can instantly return to the evil god's altar and be reborn. It's useless. It's useless. It's completely useless. Not only can such flames burn the bodies of our void monsters, but even our souls will be burned. Due to the unparalleled pain and the fear of impending death, the void monsters finally broke free from the illusion. But it was too late. The endless infernal golden crow flames had already engulfed their bodies. Instantly, the void monsters turned into huge dark golden torches, letting out shrill cries. But no matter how they struggled, they could not escape from the burning of the infernal golden crow. Rumble. In just a few breaths, none of the void monsters managed to escape. They were instantly burned to ashes by the infernal golden crow flames. All the impurities of the evil gods were turned to ash, leaving behind only the purest source energy. I see. At this moment, Xiaoping finally understood why Hell of Green Lotus would evolve so much after obtaining the source energy left by the void monsters. That was because the dependents of the evil gods came from other universes and had the source energy of other universes. They died here and their source energy was absorbed by Hell of Green Lotus. This was equivalent to Hell swallowing the source energy of the evil god universe to evolve. One had to know that the evolution level of the evil god universe was relatively high. It was many times higher than the infernal realm. It was just like a mortal obtaining the saint's origin energy. The benefits were simply too great. It was like reaching the heavens in a single step. In an instant, Xiaoping sensed that in the depths of his body, every single cell was devouring the massive source energy that was surging over from the evil god's minions. His magic power was increasing at a rate visible to the naked eye. Each infernal golden crow cell was awakening and his bloodline was improving. Chapter 2856. The moment all the void monsters were burned to death, the news was quickly sent back to the evil god altar. The evil god minions that were guarding the headquarters found out and they fell into endless panic. What's going on? What's going on? Why did all the void monsters we sent out die? None of them came back alive? All of a sudden, the void monsters guarding the evil god altar panicked. This was the first time they felt so terrified. One must know that in order to deal with the Green Lotus Hell, they had spent a lot of manpower and gathered more than 1 trillion void monsters. Such a force was unimaginable. No high-level hell plane could defend against so many void monsters. Once the army arrived, all the demons in the Green Lotus Hell would die and be devoured. This battle was definitely foolproof. They just had to wait for the news of victory. However, not much time had passed. Even though they should have just started attacking the Hell of the Blue Lotus, they received news that all the void monsters were dead. What terrified them the most was that none of the void monsters' souls came back alive. What kind of joke is this? What means did those evil demons possess to be able to annihilate our undying soldiers? Even the evil god altar couldn't save their souls. Why is that? Each of the void monsters was in a state of panic. Honestly, the main reason why they could run rampant in hell was because of their undying bodies. With their bodies, they weren't afraid of death at all. Anyway, even if their bodies were destroyed, their souls could quickly return to the evil god altar to be reborn. But now, after being killed by those demons, even their souls couldn't return. They had completely fallen in hell. There was nothing more terrifying than this. This was the first time they felt so terrified after invading hell. They were more afraid of the unknown. They didn't know what had happened in the Green Lotus Hell. Flames. I saw the scene of those void monsters dying in the evil god altar. Those were endless dark golden flames that destroyed everything. Their cries are still echoing in the evil god altar. One of the void monsters cried out in fear. It must be that mysterious demon that controls the demonic god's inheritance. Only it can control the method to destroy us void monsters. What kind of flame is this? Why is it able to cause such great damage to us? Even our souls are destroyed. Even the evil god's altar is unable to protect us. A void monster leader was in disbelief. Before this, probably none of the void monsters were willing to believe that they would die in this hell world. But now that the truth was right before their eyes, they had no choice but to believe it. I'm not sure, but what I do know is that those devils must have grasped a method to deal with us void monsters. They must have grasped a power that can restrain the undying bodies of us void monsters. That's why all the void monsters that attacked the Green Lotus Hell died. Not a single one of them could escape. A void monster leader was trembling. It couldn't imagine how Lord Evil God would punish them if he found out about this. Halt. Immediately halt our operations against the Hell of the Green Lotus. Before we figure out what secrets the Hell of the Green Lotus is hiding, we can't take action against the Hell of the Green Lotus. A leader of the void monsters roared. At this moment, the enemy was in the light while they were in the dark. They didn't know what kind of terrifying power the devils of the Hell of the Green Lotus controlled. If they acted rashly, they would only lose more troops. Even if they occupied the space-time tunnel to the Hell world, they would have to pay a huge price to transport resources from the evil god Cosmos. At this moment, the evil god Cosmos couldn't bear too much loss. If they lost a large amount of resources, it would definitely speed up the destruction of the evil god Cosmos and cause the entire evil god Cosmos to collapse. Therefore, they had to be extremely careful. I said it long ago. This hell world isn't simple. Its level isn't any lower than our evil god Cosmos. It contains unimaginable secrets. We have to be careful and definitely can't let those devils obtain the demonic god's inheritance. Otherwise, it will definitely cause an unimaginable disaster. Now it's finally happening. A void monster leader clenched his fists. What nonsense are you talking about? Who doesn't know about this? But this hell world is so huge and boundless. Even if we explored for billions of eras, we still haven't finished exploring it. How can we prevent this from happening? What's the point of saying all this? Another leader hollered in rage. Anyway, report this matter to the evil god and let him decide. This isn't something we can handle. I hope that our headquarters won't be destroyed, otherwise our billions of eras of hard work would have been wasted. One of the void monster leaders thought of the worst possible outcome, which was that the demons would attack the void monster headquarters and kill them all. If that happened, they would lose the space-time tunnel and wouldn't be able to return to the hell world. When that happened, all the resources they spent here would be wasted. To the evil god Cosmos, this would be an unimaginable blow and it would definitely make the evil gods go crazy. They could only pray that the devils in hell weren't as strong as they thought. But no matter what, they had to retract their defenses to prevent the devils from attacking and prevent the worst outcome from happening. As for hell, they could only find out more information before making the next decision. At this moment, within the central palace of hell, Xiaoping devoured the source energy of the massive void monsters. This was an unimaginably huge amount of energy and it could be said to be boundless. If it was an ancient saint, he would need countless years to cultivate. Now that he had devoured the origin energy, his magic power filled every cell in his body and filled up his 9 seas of consciousness. Dong. Instantly, his body shook and some bottleneck seemed to have been broken. At this moment he stepped into a new realm. Complete Archaic Realm. At this moment, after Xiaoping devoured the source energy, he finally advanced from Late Archaic Realm to Complete Archaic Realm. He reached the peak of Archaic Realm. The spiritual power in his body was vast and boundless at this moment. The 9 worlds were filled with boundless energy and every cell in his body was filled with dense power of the world. It seemed like he had reached Complete Archaic Realm and there were no flaws left. His body gave off circular power of the world as if he had turned into a huge circular world. 9 terrifying world domains spread out, distorting the void of hell in all directions, causing densely packed void patterns to appear in the surroundings. Chapter 2857. Whoosh. However, it wasn't a big deal that his world power had reached perfection. With enough time and effort, he would eventually be able to reach perfection. The most important thing was that his world laws had reached perfection. Right now, Xiaoping's Sea of Consciousness had formed 3,000 fragments of the world laws. It could be said that he had reached perfection in his world laws. There were no more flaws. It seemed that he was just one step away from breaking through to the invincible realm and comprehending the laws of life and death. Rumble, with Xiaoping's body as the center, his soul power spread out, covering an area of 80 million light-years. It could be said that his divine sense had expanded from 40 million light-years to 80 million light-years. His soul power had doubled. This was an extremely shocking improvement. Although it was just a minor advancement, the further one cultivated, the greater the difference between a minor realm and a minor realm. It was so huge that it couldn't be measured by distance. The 9 world domains on his body covered the entire hell's void in 9 different directions. It was as if the projections of the worlds had descended. Right now, these world domains weren't just projections. They seemed to have solidified, as if they had turned from illusory to real, becoming a real world. The laws within the 9 worlds were becoming more and more complete. Mountains, seas, rivers, deserts, lands and so on appeared. Countless universe origin laws flowed here. These world domains were extremely powerful. Once they covered the enemy, it was like summoning 1,000 worlds to attack. The enemy would be instantly crushed into powder, leaving nothing behind. It could be said that thanks to this improvement, the world power on his body had become even more terrifying. It had doubled in strength compared to before, and its power could be said to be boundless. His 5 clones also broke through at the same time and reached perfection of the Archean realm. If it was the current Xia Ping, he would probably be able to shatter the laws of life and death of ordinary invincible saints with a single punch. They wouldn't even have time to change their power. This was the terror of absolute power. All laws would be crushed into powder. Golden Crow of Hell bloodline. But for Xia Ping, the greatest improvement was still the Golden Crow of Hell bloodline. Because he had obtained a huge amount of origin energy from burning these void monsters. This ability was the greatest improvement to the Golden Crow of Hell bloodline. The infernal Golden Crow cells in his body were awakening at a crazy rate, causing his infernal Golden Crow bloodline to become even denser, revealing a dark golden color. At this moment, the color of Xia Ping's blood had completely changed, turning into a dark gold color. Every drop of blood seemed to flow with endless Golden Crow runes, as if there were Golden Crows of Hell living in it. Any drop of dark golden blood that fell could turn into a boundless sea of flames, or even the Son of Hell, emitting eternal heat and burning away all impurities. It wasn't just his blood that had changed. Even his bones had undergone heaven-shaking, earth-toppling transformations. They had been tempered into godly bones that contained deathless godliness, and were covered with numerous magical symbols of hell. They radiated an ancient and noble aura, as if they were gods that had existed since time immemorial. If Xia Ping died now, his body wouldn't decay even after millions and millions of epochs had passed. It would still retain its powerful vitality and vitality. 10 million, 100 million, a billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, a trillion. Xia Ping felt his heart beating. Every awakened infernal Golden Crow cell surged with a large amount of infernal Golden Crow source energy and large amounts of infernal Golden Crow flames. The awakening of the infernal Golden Crow cells seemed to be endless. Only when he finished swallowing all the void monster source energy did the awakening of the infernal Golden Crow cells stop. But at this moment his body had awakened 1 trillion infernal Golden Crow cells, which was 10 trillion. One must know that he had awakened 6 trillion infernal Golden Crow cells before, and now he had awakened 10 trillion. This meant that he had an increase of 4 trillion infernal Golden Crow cells. This was a terrifying number. But from this, one could see how beneficial the void monster source energy was. Moreover, these were just the normal dependents of the evil gods. If he could burn an evil god to death, he didn't know what realm he would reach. Just as Xia Ping's infernal Golden Crow cells reached 10 trillion awakened, he felt the cells vibrate, and a large amount of bloodline information flowed through them. His body shook, and he instantly received a message from the depths of his consciousness. At this moment, a new bloodline ability was born in his body, Future Foresight. The Golden Crow race had a famous nickname called Crow's Mouth. Good things didn't come true but bad things did. Basically, when a crow cried, bad things would happen. In truth, this was the Golden Crow race's supreme talent. They could sense the arrival of misfortune. But such talent wasn't enough for the Golden Crow race to avoid misfortune. After all, they could only sense misfortune slightly, but they didn't know what exactly it was. But after it evolved into the infernal Golden Crow, it absorbed endless hell source energy and the power of destiny, causing its bloodline ability to change drastically. It went from foresight of misfortune to foresight of the future. This was a qualitative change. As long as one used this bloodline ability, they could foresee days, years, or even tens of thousands of years into the future. This foresight ability grew along with their cultivation. With this ability, the infernal Golden Crow was invincible. It seized countless opportunities and grew quickly. Future foresight. In an instant, Xia Ping felt his body shake, and his soul seemed to merge with the river of destiny. He looked down at the fates of all living beings, peeking at the trajectory of destiny. Countless scenes of destiny appeared in the depths of his consciousness. Not only could he see his own destiny, but he could also see the destiny of all living beings in hell, and the future a few days later. This? Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He saw that because of his infernal Golden Crow bloodline, he had suffered a heavenly tribulation, the entire hell of Green Lotus had leveled up, and countless demons had benefited. There were also some scouts from the evil god universe near the hell of Green Lotus. They seemed to be afraid of this failure, so they didn't dare to launch a large-scale attack. They all withdrew their forces and returned to defend the old nest of the evil god altar. It could be said that for a long time in the future, as long as these void monsters didn't discover his secret, they wouldn't dare to launch a large-scale attack on the hell of Green Lotus or other planes of hell. And the hell world would welcome a rare period of peace, and the demons would have an unprecedented chance to breathe. Chapter 28:58. Walala, in that instant, the entire hell of the Green Lotus was filled with dark clouds. Layers upon layers of dark clouds gathered together, making them look like mercury. Waves of terrifying lightning tribulation energy were brewing in the depths of the dark clouds. A vortex seemed to have formed in the center, producing a terrifying spiral force. It was like the eye of the lightning tribulation. Such a terrifying heavenly might descended upon the entire Green Lotus hell, causing countless demons to shiver in fear. Even the invincible demons were trembling in fear. It was as if a single bolt of lightning could strike them half to death or even turn them into ashes. What is this? Some invincible demons looked at the clouds brewing in the sky in fear. They had lived for so long, but they had never seen such a lightning tribulation. It was as if all the tribulations of the world had gathered together, emitting a destructive aura and power. Moreover, the clouds had already enveloped the entire Green Lotus hell. There was nowhere for them to hide. Don't worry. Master is going through his tribulation. Some demons from the burning hell had seen something like this before, so they weren't surprised at all. Tribulation? What does that mean? Many demons were dumbfounded because they had never seen such a thing, and they had never gone through a tribulation. It seems like the demonic god bloodline in Master is too dense, causing the world to be jealous. He was punished by the heavens. Only by going through the lightning tribulation can he obtain the recognition of the origin of hell. Otherwise, he will be turned into ashes by the lightning tribulation. One of the demons said. Something like this happened? Many demons were speechless. They were in awe. To be honest, they had seen demons with the demonic god bloodline before, such as the hell elephant and the hell dog. But they had never experienced anything like this. It was impossible for them to attract the attention of the origin of hell. I'm afraid that Master's strength is too monstrous. Ordinary demons can't do anything even if they want to. Some demons were in awe and sighed. The other demons couldn't help but nod their heads. Fighting a demigod as an immemorial realm cultivator was an earth-shattering achievement. They had never seen a demon this powerful before. After all, the difference between the immemorial realm and the demigod realm was just too great. It was almost impossible to challenge a demigod realm cultivator. However, their master was able to do it. This was enough to prove how monstrous their master was. They really did not know how strong their master would be if he were to advance to the demigod realm. This lightning tribulation is so huge. Master should be fine, right? An invincible demon said worriedly. Don't worry. Who do you think our master is? His battle prowess is unparalleled, and he has the support of the essence of the Green Lotus hell. There's no way he can't overcome the lightning tribulation. We'll just watch from the side. Indeed. Even if we wanted to help, it would be impossible. It is said that for such a lightning tribulation, the more others help, the stronger it will be. Helping is not worth it. I think we should stay further away. Perhaps Master will be fine, but we will be affected. Perhaps we will be struck to death by the tribulation lightning and reduced to ashes. That is indeed the case. Although we are not tribulation fiends, if we were to get too close, we might be affected. Many demons couldn't help but nod. They subconsciously distanced themselves from the center of the heavenly tribulation. If they were struck to death by the lightning tribulation, it would be too unjust. Moreover, the power of the thunder tribulation could restrain the demons, so they couldn't resist it at all. At that moment, Xiaoping stood in the middle of the tribulation clouds, right below the eye of the thunder. In fact, no matter where he went, the eye of the thunder would follow him. It's the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements, and it has reached 1080 levels. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He could sense the terror of the thunder tribulation in the sky. It was the famous thunder tribulation of the 5 elements, which contained the power of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. It could be said to be the top thunder tribulation in the world. When it came crashing down, the power of the thunder tribulation of the five elements would shatter everything. It seemed to have the power to create the universe and recreate the world. Even saints of the invincible realm would find it hard to resist the terror of the thunder tribulation of the five elements. More importantly, the power of the thunder tribulation of the five elements had reached 1080 levels, which made the power of the thunder tribulation of the five elements evolve to its peak, containing the power to destroy heaven and earth. The thunder tribulation is indeed getting more and more insane. Xia Ping took a deep breath and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Even though the thunder tribulation of the five elements was extremely terrifying, he wasn't afraid at all. In fact, he was even tempted to give it a try. That was because he had gone through countless terrifying thunder tribulations ever since he started cultivating. Even though the thunder tribulation of the five elements was extremely strong, it was just one of them. Moreover, his cultivation base had reached the perfected immemorial realm, and his strength was many times stronger than before. Naturally, he wouldn't be afraid of the thunder tribulation of the five elements. Rumble, in the blink of an eye, the thunder tribulation of the five elements rained down from the sky. Gold, green, blue, red, yellow. 5 different colors of the thunder tribulation struck down at the same time, seeming to contain the power of life and death of the five elements. It was as though a world of the five elements was crashing down, shattering the entire world into pieces. Go! In an instant, Xia Ping had his world tree clone appear with a single thought. It stood in midair and the massive world tree blocked all the thunder tribulation of the five elements in an instant. The power of the thunder tribulation of the five elements bombarded the world tree clone, immediately tempering the world tree clone. At the same time, the world tree devoured and absorbed the power, not harming the world tree clone at all. Whoosh! It seemed that this scene made the heavenly tribulation even angrier. In an instant, billions of thunder tribulation of the five elements exploded, covering a radius of tens of thousands of light years. It was like a sea of thunder tribulation spreading like a flood, crushing everything. However, at this moment, the Kunpeng clone appeared. It looked like a blue whale, and as soon as it appeared, it emitted the aura of an immemorial god. It opened its mouth and swallowed all the thunder tribulation of the five elements in an instant. Countless terrifying thunderbolts bombarded the surface of its body. If it were an ordinary creature, it would have been killed by the power of the thunderbolts, electrocuted into charcoal. However, the Kunpeng clone contained the power of invulnerability, and could devour everything. The thunderbolts could not harm its body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the next second, Gaia's avatar, the Hell's divine elephant avatar, and the Hell's golden crow avatar also appeared. They stood in 3 different positions and surrounded Xia Ping. They exuded an extremely powerful aura that shook the void. The 5 clones seemed to form a perfect shield, protecting the body. No matter how terrifying the thunder tribulation of the 5 elements was, it could not penetrate the 5 clones and harm the body. Chapter 28:59. 10 days and 10 nights passed in the blink of an eye. In the Green Lotus Hell, the 5 elements lightning tribulation had struck Xia Ping for 10 days and 10 nights. The 1080th wave of the 5 elements lightning tribulation was simply earth-shattering. The surrounding mountains and other places within a radius of tens of thousands of light years collapsed where Xia Ping was, creating a huge crater that covered tens of thousands of light years. The 5 elements lightning descended and turned into lightning liquid that flowed in the crater. As a result, the place turned into a boundless 5 elements lightning ocean, forming a unique secret realm. The demons in the Green Lotus Hell trembled in fear at the sight. Fortunately, it was finally over. The extremely thick tribulation clouds in the sky finally dissipated and the sky returned to its original clarity. The omnipresent aura of the tribulation also blended into the depths of the hell's void. I finally passed the tribulation. At that moment, Xia Ping stood in midair. His body was also tattered and charred. His hair was standing on end, making him look like an African refugee. The other 5 clones were the same. They were all tattered and looked very wretched. After all, it was 1080th wave of the 5 elements lightning tribulation. It would be extremely difficult for any demigod to withstand it, let alone a primordial saint. Therefore, it was impossible for one to not be injured by such a tribulation. Even so, Xia Ping's eyes were still bright and filled with a terrifying light. Although he looked wretched, the essence blood in his body was extremely vigorous. He was not injured at all. In reality, this was both a tribulation and an opportunity. After being tempered and hammered by the 5 elements lightning tribulation, Xiaoping's main body and 5 clones were fully tempered, making his body even stronger. His body contained the source energy of the 5 elements lightning tribulation. Taking advantage of this lightning tribulation, his body was able to devour even more of the lightning tribulation's power. It was as if the endless power of the law of lightning was flowing through his meridians. At that moment, Xiaoping's eyes lit up. Endless laws of lightning flowed in the depths of his consciousness, as well as the countless lightning techniques and chaotic lightning techniques that he had previously comprehended. In the end, he was shocked and had a flash of inspiration. He seemed to have transformed. In an instant he stood where he was and punched out. The terrifying power of the thunder calamity in his body erupted, forming a terrifying lightning fist that took on a spherical shape. Dong. This punch ruthlessly bombarded a huge mountain in the distance. In an instant, this huge mountain was shattered into pieces and turned into ashes. It produced an extremely terrifying destructive power. It is indeed powerful enough. Xiaoping was very excited. After transcending the 5 elements lightning tribulation, he had combined the chaos lightning art and many other lightning magical arts to create his own divine ability, the chaos lightning fist. This fist technique was created by fusing the laws of lightning, chaotic force, 5 elements force and spacetime force. It was a supreme fist technique. A single punch could immediately draw upon the power of the lightning tribulation laws of heaven and earth and stir the laws of primal chaos, producing unparalleled destructive power that could instantly kill the enemy. Even creatures with extremely powerful defenses could not withstand the chaotic lightning fist's attack. This was because the power of the lightning calamity was a power that restrained all things in the world. Even a creature like the Kuan Peng, which was known to be invincible, would be restrained by the lightning calamity. This was a power that was like divine punishment. If it was used against demons from the abyss, demons from hell, or even evil gods and other negative creatures, the threat of the chaotic lightning fist would be even greater. Moreover, it was not only a physical attack but also a soul attack. A single lightning strike could instantly blast the enemy's soul into pieces and turn them into ashes. It could be said that he had obtained another trump card. The Hell of the Green Lotus seems to have evolved. After transcending the lightning calamity, Xiaoping finally had the mood to care about other things. With a thought, he immediately realized that the Hell of the Green Lotus had undergone a tremendous change. As he had killed 1 trillion void monsters, he had obtained a massive amount of origin energy from the evil god universe. Although he had devoured a portion of it, most of the origin energy had been absorbed by the Hell of the Green Lotus. As such, one could imagine the benefits that the Hell of the Green Lotus had obtained. Compared to 10 days ago, the area of the Hell of the Green Lotus was more than 10,000 times bigger than before. Moreover, it was still expanding. This was not the final form of the Hell of the Green Lotus. Moreover, due to the strengthening of the Hell's origin energy, the land of the Hell of the Green Lotus had become stronger. In the past, the invincible demons could still cause massive destruction in the Hell of the Green Lotus. However, it was no longer possible now. Even if the invincible demons fought with all their might in the Hell of the Green Lotus, they would only be able to cause damage to a small area. Moreover, this was under the situation where they went all out. If they didn't go all out, they might not even be able to topple a mountain. Even the invincible demons were in such a state. One could imagine the other demons. They couldn't even leave a mark on a rock. This was the strength of the Hell of the Green Lotus. It can't be. The Yellow Springs River has also strengthened. What shocked Xiaoping the most was that the Yellow Springs River underground had evolved along with the Hell of the Green Lotus. The Yellow Springs holy water seemed to have increased as a result. Massive Yellow Springs River surged underground, expanding the area underground. This also made the Yellow Springs River even more vast. It seemed like it could turn into the Yellow Springs River and not just a river anymore. One day, it might turn into the Yellow Springs Sea and turn into a boundless Yellow Springs Sea. Thanks to the expansion of the Yellow Springs River, the Yellow Springs River, which was originally full of demons, was no longer so crowded. It could accommodate more evil spirits. Of course, the expansion of the Yellow Springs River had great benefits to the Hell of the Green Lotus. This feeling seems to be the aura of a demon god. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He could sense that the Hell of the Green Lotus source was extremely strong. It was much stronger than before. It was on a completely different level. As the Hell of the Green Lotus evolved, it was obvious that the high-level hell could no longer accommodate it. Because of this, it was evolving crazily towards the demon god plane. It seemed like after a period of time, the Hell of the Green Lotus would grow into a demon god plane. In fact, the other demons could also sense the changes. They felt that their cultivation speed was getting faster and faster. They were evolving at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even the demons with low-grade bloodlines felt that they were improving at a godlike speed. Clearly, during the process of the Hell of the Green Lotus evolution, they had also obtained great benefits. He had a feeling that if the Hell of the Green Lotus advanced to the demon god plane, he might be able to peek into some of the secrets of the demon god. Chapter 2860. A few days later. In the central palace of the Green Lotus Hell, Xia Ping had been cultivating in seclusion for the past few days. Through this period of cultivation he could be considered to have stabilized his skyrocketing cultivation base, completely stabilizing it at the perfected immemorial realm. He was just one step away from breaking through to the demigod realm and mastering the law of life and death. Of course, he had also awakened 1 trillion infernal golden crow cells in his body. The bloodline in his body was extremely dense. If he awakened 1 trillion cells, the infernal golden crow bloodline in his body would be completely awakened. He's already reached the peak of immemorial realm? Xia Ping sighed with emotion. He didn't expect himself to advance to this realm so quickly. Compared to him at the beginning he was much stronger. It could be said that he was already standing at the pinnacle of the universe. Other than the gods, no one could do anything to him. Moreover, it wouldn't take long for him to completely inherit the Golden Crow's bloodline and completely unseal all the Golden Crow's cells. It's about time to head to the Fiend God universe to take a look. Xia Ping squinted his eyes. After this period of cultivation, his strength had increased by too much. Although he might not be able to fight against the evil gods with the treasures he had on him, he could at least ensure that he wouldn't die. To be honest, his understanding of the evil god universe was still too little. If he didn't understand the evil god universe, he wouldn't know the details of this enemy. This would be very disadvantageous for the future war. Once the infernal world was completely devoured by the evil god universe, the modern world might also be affected by the evil god universe, causing an unimaginable disaster that was even more terrifying than the Abyss invasion. Therefore, he had to head to the evil god universe to investigate the situation. Of course, he was not unprepared for this. Firstly, the authority of the true demonic god allowed him to change his identity and even deceive the origin laws of the universe. This way, even if he entered the evil god universe, he wouldn't be discovered by the evil gods, and he wouldn't be targeted by the universe origin. This was the best ability for a spy. Secondly, he also had the formless mask which could conceal his aura and change his appearance. In the end, even if he encountered a great danger, he could use the wish compass to escape. It could be said that he had all kinds of tricks up his sleeves and was in an invincible position. However, before heading to the Fiend God universe, I still have to refine a large number of Nether God demonic curses. Xia Ping waved his hand, and the power of his bloodline condensed into an underworld god talisman. This was the underworld god talisman that made countless invincible demons submit. The reason why he needed to condense so many Nether God demon curses was because he wanted to give them to those invincible devils. The plan to abduct invincible demons from other hell planes had yet to be completed. It could be said that this was only the beginning, and the plan was still ongoing. After all, his goal was to unify the entire hell world. This was the best plan. As long as he controlled all the invincible demons in the hell world, the hell world would naturally belong to him. Of course, there were some high-level planar lords, but their subordinates were under Xia Ping's control. Therefore they weren't much of a threat at all. Therefore this plan could not be abandoned halfway. In order for the plan to proceed smoothly even if Xia Ping left, he had to condense a large number of Nether God demon curses and give them to the invincible demons to handle. If he tricked the invincible demons into the hell of the Green Lotus, there was no need to trick them. As long as the invincible demons in the hell of the Green Lotus subdued the invincible demons and planted the Nether God demon curses in them, they would naturally become his dependents. There was no need for him to show up personally. In the past, the invincible demons might not be able to deal with other invincible demons. But now, the invincible demons in the hell of the Green Lotus had hell treasures, and their strength had increased by several times. Moreover, with a group of invincible demons ganging up on them, he believed that no matter how strong the invincible demons were, they would fall for it. If this snowball continued, sooner or later, all the invincible demons in the hell world would become Xia Ping's dependents. After a few more days, Xia Ping had condensed tens of thousands of Nether God talisman amulets. He believed that with so many Nether God talisman amulets in hand, he would definitely be able to subdue enough invincible demons. Yes, it's time to head to the nest of the void monsters. At the thought of this, he spoke to Luna and directly left the hell of the Green Lotus, flying toward the nest of the void monsters. At this moment, Xiaoping's speed was extremely fast. With a single thought, he could cross a distance of 80 million light-years. Even invincible sages would not be able to match his speed. Even though the nest of the void monsters was very far away from the hell of the Green Lotus, it would not take him too long. In just a day's time he arrived at the outer region of the void monster's nest. Of course, he wore the formless mask concealing all of his aura. Otherwise, he would probably be discovered by the power here the moment he got close to the nest. Is this the nest of the void monsters? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He saw a huge lair in the distance. It was like a huge and boundless beast lying in the void of hell. In terms of size, this nest was probably not much smaller than the hell of the Green Lotus. Its entire body was pitch black, and it emanated gloomy, evil, darkness, blood, chaos, death, and other auras. It was like an evil body from the abyss, containing the power to distort everything. If a normal life was here, their soul would probably be distorted by this terrifying evil power. This was the power of the evil god. It was indescribable, 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 indescribable. Only Xiaoping, who had grasped the power of the golden crow of hell's bloodline, could look at the nest here without any effort. So many void monsters. Xiaoping activated the golden crow of hell's eyes, as though he could see through all illusions. Tens of thousands of light years were covered by his gaze. It was like the eyes of a god high above, seeing everything clearly. He could see many void monsters returning from the outside, and they were all gathering in this nest. Endless evil aura spread out from this place, making one's heart tremble. Just the void monsters that he could see with his naked eyes were probably more than the void monsters that attacked the hell of the Green Lotus previously. Clearly this was all the military strength of the evil god's nest. Moreover, these void monsters were still being created endlessly. Let's go in and take a look. However, if he stayed outside, Xiaoping would not be able to see anything. If he wanted to know the true secrets of the void monsters, he had to enter the nest of the evil god. So, thinking about this, he didn't hesitate. His body flashed, and he instantly attached himself to one of the void monsters that returned to the nest. One must know that the surface area of the void monsters was extremely huge, like a sun. Xiaoping was just a normal human, and when he attached himself to it, he was like a speck of dust. He was so small that he wouldn't be discovered at all. Sogu website. Chapter 2861. Xiaoping had just attached himself to one of the void monsters. That void monster couldn't sense anything. Many of them were gathered together and chatting. "Brother, what is going on? Why did the headquarters suddenly call us back?" A void monster's head was filled with confusion. It had discovered a low-level hell plane and was planning to devour it. Who knew that with an order from the headquarters, they would all return? It could only give up on this hunt. It can't be. You still don't know about this? Something big happened recently. The higher-ups did an operation and planned to attack a high-level hell plane. It's called Green Lotus Hell. I heard that they gathered 1 trillion void monsters. A void monster said, everyone thought that the operation would be a success. Who knew that they were all wiped out? Not even a single void monster was able to escape. You must be joking. They didn't even return? Didn't they say that we have undying bodies? Even if we are killed by the devils, our souls can be reborn in the evil god altar. Some void monsters were shocked. Don't talk about it. Because of this, I heard that the devils have a way to destroy our souls. They can kill us instantly and prevent our souls from returning to the evil god altar to be reborn. It can't be. If we don't have undying bodies, what advantage do we have against the devils? Many void monsters were terrified. The reason why they could roam hell was because of their undying bodies. If they lost their undying bodies, they would definitely be heavily injured. That's why the headquarters told us to quickly return to defend in case anything happens to our lair. Once the space tunnel here is discovered by the devils or even destroyed, our many years of planning will be over. Right? Currently, the headquarters wants to investigate what power those devils have. Before they find out, all void monsters are to return to await orders. Looks like we can't go out and cause trouble. What is the background of that Green Lotus Hell? Why is it so terrifying? The void monsters discussed among themselves, and their faces were filled with fear. So. They didn't hesitate. As they spoke, they entered their lair. Did they go in? Xia Ping raised his brows and listened to the void monsters. To be honest, the process of him entering the void monster's lair could be considered a daunting experience but not a dangerous one. Any void monster that entered their lair would be scanned by the power of the evil god to confirm if there were any enemies following them in and if there were any invaders. However, by relying on the power of the faceless mask, Xia Ping was able to hide in the depths of the dimension. Even the power of the evil god could not find Xia Ping's true body. Therefore, it could be said that he had entered the nest without any mishaps. However, in Xia Ping's opinion, this kind of inspection procedure was a bit like a routine, and he didn't pay much attention to it. This was because the void monsters had invaded the infernal world for a very long time. Since ancient times, no demons had ever been able to invade this nest, and no demons had ever been able to come to this place. This made them a little careless and let down their guard. In reality, there were no demons that could withstand the corrosion of the evil god's power. Once they entered their lair, they would probably be quickly distorted and forcefully transformed by the evil god's power, becoming the evil god's kin. And this power was actually similar to the power of demon god like the golden crow of hell. Perhaps this was the power of the gods, and it could unconsciously influence the bloodline of non-god life forms, forcefully transforming other life forms into their own kin. Unless a mortal had the bloodline of a god, they would not be affected by other gods. However, the bloodline influence of the evil god was different from the golden crow of hell. The bloodline influence of the golden crow of hell was benign and gradual. It would not affect the soul and personality of other life forms. However, the evil god could easily distort the souls of mortals, causing them to fall into a state of madness. Moreover, they were extremely brutal. Once they could not accept this power, they would immediately explode and die. This was probably the power that originated from the evil god itself. Their divine power was madness, chaos, evil, and also brutal. Therefore, the bloodline influence was also extremely terrifying. It was not like other gods that were gentle and sustainable. This is the nest of the void monsters? Xia Ping swaggered into this place. With the power of the formless mask, no void monsters would be able to discover his whereabouts. Moreover, his body size was extremely small compared to the void monsters. He was like a speck of dust. Who would care about the dust on their body? They did not have any intention of doing so. Therefore, although he was in the enemy camp, he was very safe. After a period of exploration, he realized that although this was the nest, it was no different from a great thousand world. It was like a super war fortress. It seemed like this place was divided into a few regions. One was the resting region, which was where the void monsters rested. One was the production region, which was where the void monsters were created. One was the evil god altar. This was where the void monsters' souls could be reborn. This place could communicate with the power of the evil god. The other was the space-time tunnel. This place was also their most important place. It was heavily guarded and was responsible for transferring resources from the hell plane back to the evil god plane. Also, the experts of the evil god universe would use this tunnel to come to the hell plane. This nest is alive. Xia Ping's eyes revealed a glimmer of light. His golden crow eyes of hell could see through everything, and he was shocked to discover that this void monster's nest itself was a terrifying weapon of war. Once it awakened, it would probably possess the power of a demon god. However, this nest had long been fixed at this place and could not be moved. It was the most important weapon in protecting the space-time tunnel and could not be moved recklessly. After all, once the space-time tunnel was broken, all the plans of the evil god universe would be over. Therefore, this place was naturally extremely important and could not be lost. This nest is devouring the power of hell's source. Xia Ping clenched his fists. He also saw billions of void roots extending from the nest. They took root in the void of hell and devoured the energy of hell's source. This devouring speed was slow but uninterrupted. No matter how slow it was, no matter how immense the power of hell's source was, after countless years of devouring, it still caused the hell world to suffer heavy losses. Honestly speaking, with so many invincible demons born in the hell world, there should have been a demon god born long ago. However, because the monsters of the evil god universe kept devouring the energy of hell's source, it slowed down the evolution of the hell world. This resulted in no demon god born in the hell world. Chapter 2862. Let's head to the space tunnel to take a look. Xia Ping resisted the urge to destroy this place. Once he destroyed this place, it would be hard for him to find another space tunnel to head to the evil god universe. Since they could reach hell world, then naturally he could head to the evil god universe to obtain benefits. This was what they meant by reciprocation. If he destroyed this place, he would alert the enemy and attract the attention of the evil gods. Then, it would be hard for him to enter the evil god universe. So, Xia Ping concealed himself and followed the other void monsters forward, arriving at the location of the space-time tunnel. This place was a huge empty space. Many strange-looking void monsters were gathered here, and there were huge statues of evil gods placed around them. These sculptures seemed to have god power as they unconsciously gave off all sorts of evil, dark and twisting powers that formed the evil god domain. Moreover, this power enveloped the entire square, covering every corner. Everything that didn't belong to the evil gods would be twisted and corrupted. This was an indescribable and terrifying power. Fortunately, Xia Ping's formless mask could hide his aura and the Hell Golden Crow bloodline could block the distortion of evil god power. Otherwise, he would have been noticed the moment he entered this place. I have to be careful, otherwise I might be noticed. Xia Ping squinted his eyes. He sensed that these sculptures contained a thread of evil god power. They pierced through Hell World and were constantly scanning. If he did anything weird and was noticed, then he would definitely end up in a tragic state. But he had done too many things like sneaking into other people's nests and he was used to it. His mental fortitude had increased by several times and naturally, he wouldn't be shaken by such a small thing. Is this the space tunnel? Xia Ping looked ahead. At the deepest part of the square there was a giant black gate. It seemed to be a space gate and there were all sorts of evil god diagrams carved on it. There were numerous evil god runes and they contained terrifying space-time powers. It seemed like this space gate connected Hell World and the evil god universe. After these void monsters arrived at the space-time tunnel, they seemed to have stayed where they were, waiting to be inspected. Beams of dark evil god light enveloped them, causing the bodies of these void monsters to turn illusory, revealing the space within their bodies. It seemed like their stomachs were dimensional bags that could be filled with many things. Their bellies seemed to be filled with all sorts of resources that they had plundered from all over Hell. Clearly, these void monsters had devoured countless resources from all over Hell. Most of them were not eaten by themselves, but brought back here to send the resources back to the evil god universe. I see. Xia Ping immediately understood why they were doing this. It was because things from other universes, even if they looked good on the surface, still needed to be inspected. In particular, the invasion of species could be a huge disaster for this universe. This was because Hell species basically had no natural enemies in the evil god universe. If they accidentally entered the evil god universe, they would cause great damage to the ecosystem and reproduce continuously. To begin with, the evil god universe was already extremely weak. If they were to do something like this, it would speed up the destruction of the evil god universe. Hence, these evil god dependents were extremely cautious. Even if they brought back a large amount of resources from the infernal world, they still had to check it over and over again to prevent species from the infernal world from invading the evil god universe and causing an irreversible disaster. In fact, the evil god cosmos had also experienced an extremely painful lesson, which was why they had implemented such an inspection measure. Back then they had accidentally brought back some hellgrass seeds from the infernal realm. These were weeds that grew in the infernal realm. They were completely red like blood and looked extremely beautiful. After these hellgrass seeds entered the evil god universe, they actually sprouted on many lands. One could imagine the outcome. These plants that could survive in hell were extremely strong. The moment they entered the evil god universe, they quickly reproduced. In just a short year they covered numerous regions. How could the plants that lived in greenhouses compare to the hellgrass that lived in hell? The dense forest instantly died. Only the hellgrass could survive. They could even swallow the nutrients of the land, causing the land to dry up. Moreover, they weren't afraid of being burned by flames. They could even swallow flame energy. Some evil god dependents tried to wipe out the hellgrass, but they were unable to do anything. The hellgrass that formed was really terrifying, like a hell trap. Once evil god members entered, they would instantly tie them up and swallow their flesh and blood. This would allow the hellgrass to grow stronger and stronger. One could imagine the outcome. Due to the overflow of hellgrass, many pieces of land became the territory of the hellgrass, forming an absolute forbidden region. At the same time, the evil gods couldn't bear to destroy the land here as the evil god universe was already weak. If they destroyed more land, it would speed up the destruction of the evil god universe. So, they could only allow the hellgrass to grow. Anyway, to the evil god universe, it was just another terrifying plant. At this moment, many places in the evil god universe still had hellgrass growing. But due to such a lesson, they suffered heavy losses. They remembered this matter and stopped the invasions from other universes in case they brought a huge disaster. Invasions. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. If he wanted to speed up the collapse of the evil god universe, then he had to make things worse. That might be a good idea. He remembered that there were some terrifying beings in hell like the hell ants. These beings had really strong life force and grew really quickly. Billions of hell ants would appear, and once they appeared, they would form a natural disaster. Everywhere they passed, everything would turn into barren land. They ate everything and swallowed everything. If there were enough of them, the entire world would be eaten by them. Moreover, hell ants' defense and attack were off the charts. They might be weak individually, but when there were billions of them, they were unbeatable. They could reflect all techniques, flames, ice, and everything else were useless against them. Fortunately, hell had beings that countered hell ants, otherwise the entire hell would be their world. But hell ants had no enemies in the evil god universe. If such a species was placed in the evil god universe, it would definitely bring them huge problems. Xia Ping had actually collected many of such hell ants and placed them in the classic of mountains and seas world. But under the green cow's control, the hell ants weren't able to form a large scale in the classic of mountains and seas world. Chapter 2863. But this was just Xia Ping's idea. As for how to do it, he would only know after entering the evil god universe. As they had waited for a long time, these void monsters seemed to be chatting casually. "Brother, how are your gains this time?" A void monster asked and looked at his companion. "Not much. Recently, the number of low-level hell planes have been decreasing and they are getting further and further away. Sometimes it takes a long time to find one." A void monster shook its head. It expressed that the market wasn't good and their gains were decreasing. That was because they would get a commission from the resources they plundered. The more they plundered, the more benefits they would get. So naturally they were all really enthusiastic. "Stupid, what benefits are there in the low-level hell planes? The demons there are all poor, and even if we kill them all, we won't get any benefits. If we really want to get rich, we have to head to the middle level or even the high-level ones." The void monster at the side disdainfully said, "Kiki, do you think I don't know? But those high-level ones are hard to break and we won't get many benefits even if we fight to the death. If we can break them, then why would I bother with those low-level ones?" The void monster laughed. It wasn't a fool, and everyone knew that there were many benefits in the high-level hell planes. The problem was, were such benefits so easy to get? Especially those high-level hell planes where there were many strong demons and they had strong defenses. Even if the void monsters were strong, they would need a long time to break through. More importantly, to break through the high-level hell planes required a large number of void monsters. Once there were too many of them, their wealth would decrease by a lot. Moreover, they wouldn't get much commission from such a battle. If that was the case, then they might as well search for the low-level hell planes and take all the benefits. That's right. It's not that safe to attack the higher planes of hell. I heard that the headquarters gathered 1 trillion void monsters and planned to attack that Green Lotus hell. In the end, they were all wiped out. Not a single one of them managed to escape. That was a huge loss. Now the headquarters and the evil god are furious. They want to investigate the higher-ups who gave the order. I heard that a few of the higher-ups were executed by the evil god because of this. A void monster said in a low voice, "It can't be. I heard about it too. At first I thought it was a joke. I didn't expect it to be true. Did those demons really find a way to deal with the evil god's minions?" Many void monsters at the side also pricked up their ears, feeling extremely curious. They must have found it. Otherwise, how could 1 trillion void monsters die so easily? Not even a single soul managed to escape. This is too terrifying. I don't even know how many years it has been since we suffered such a loss. A void monster shook its head and sighed. "I have long heard that this hell world is extremely terrifying. It is said that in the last epoch many demon gods were born there and they are not inferior to our evil god universe." Another void monster said gravely, "Even if these demon gods have fallen, who knows what kind of trump cards they left behind. Even if they obtained a terrifying god artifact, it's still enough to heavily injure us." Its expression was really solemn because the strength of gods was extremely terrifying. Even if they had fallen, they could still cause endless threats. This was the lesson they learned from opening up many universes. "It seems like I can't come to Hell World for the time being. I should apply for a transfer to attack other universes. That way it will be safer. Otherwise, if the demons of Green Lotus Hell find us, we won't even know how we died." Many void monsters said with a hint of fear. "That's right. Before we know how those demons kill us, it is best if we stay in the headquarters and don't head out. Otherwise it won't be us hunting demons but the demons hunting us instead. Some void monsters couldn't help but nod their heads. Okay, stop chatting here. It is your turn to inspect. Hurry up and don't disturb my rest. An inspector hollered. When he saw these void monsters dawdling, he was a little annoyed. I'm coming. When they heard that, many void monsters walked forward. So, at this moment, Xia Ping's figure flashed and immediately appeared on top of the fur of one of the void monsters. His body was like a tiny dot to these void monsters, an existence akin to a flea. Void monster number NHG 9900. There are no problems with the inspection. Go on in. An inspector scanned and after finding no problems, he waved his hand and let the void monster at the front enter the spatial tunnel. Okay, brother. Thank you. See you next time. A void monster greeted them before entering the space-time tunnel. Rumble in the next second, Xia Ping followed the void monster into the space-time tunnel. After entering the spatial tunnel, Xia Ping's eyes widened. He realized that the spatial tunnel was transparent and showed the situation outside. Outside the spatial tunnel was a boundless chaotic world. Terrifying chaotic air currents filled the place and this power seemed to be able to destroy everything. Ordinary life forms would be instantly destroyed if they entered the chaotic void. Even ordinary sages couldn't survive in such a chaotic void. If they wanted to survive, they would have to be at least in the immemorial ancient realm. Of course they could barely survive. If they encountered any terrifying monsters in the chaotic void, they would probably be swallowed in one bite and die without a complete corpse. He took a closer look and found that there was nothing in the chaotic void, as if nothing existed. Even with the golden crow's eye of hell, he couldn't see anything. Everywhere was filled with nothingness, as if it was a dead void. No wonder even the evil god that can travel the chaotic void took a long time to find a new universe. So, the chaotic void is so huge? Xia Ping felt that his horizons had been broadened. He thought that the universe was huge enough, but compared to the chaotic void, it was just a tiny dot. One universe after another was scattered around the primal chaos void, just like a speck of dust. Walala the void monster traveled in the spatial tunnel at an extremely fast speed. It seemed to be supported by the spacetime force of the spatial tunnel as it traversed the entire tunnel at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, 7 days and 7 nights passed. After a long time it finally reached the end. This is the evil god universe? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and looked at the vast universe at the end of the spatial tunnel. However, this evil god universe was clearly different from the hell world. It emitted extraordinary energy and aura. Chapter 2864. It really is an extremely evil universe. Xia Ping stared at the evil god universe. Although he couldn't see the entire evil god universe and could only see a part of it, it was enough to display the tip of the iceberg of the evil god universe. The evil god universe was completely black and filled with chaotic, distorted, evil, dark and other energies. Terrifying dark energy wrapped around it and kept tumbling. Every wisp of dark energy seemed to be alive. Ordinary life forms wouldn't be able to withstand such chaotic and evil mental pressure. They would go crazy and their brains might even explode. Just like the information, it is indeed on the verge of extinction. It's time for the next reincarnation. Xia Ping activated the Hell Golden Crow's Eye and discovered that the supposedly perfect heretic god universe was now filled with densely packed holes that connected to the chaotic void outside the universe. It was like a planet that had many holes in it. Many places had collapsed. From the depths of the evil god universe, there was an aura of decay and destruction. It was like an old man who was about to die of old age. If they didn't obtain enough universe source, the evil god universe would probably be destroyed. By then all life forms in the evil god universe including the evil gods would die. It was no wonder that the evil gods were so crazy and reckless. Of course, the so-called destruction was relative to the lifespan of the universe itself. If it was relative to the lifespan of mortals, even if billions of eras passed, the evil god universe wouldn't be in danger of destruction. It could be said that mortals wouldn't even have the chance to witness the destruction of the universe. Only the undying gods would worry about such things. Boom. At this moment, the void monster that Xia Ping had possessed finally reached the end of the spacetime tunnel. In an instant he appeared in the evil god universe. Oh no, I'm being targeted. Is this the feeling of being rejected by other universe sources? In an instant Xia Ping sensed that there was malice everywhere around him. It was like the entire universe was targeting him. It was like a mysterious and powerful force of origin was trying to expel him. However, his cultivation was only at the perfected archaic realm. To the evil god universe he was just a small dot. Only gods would be worthy of the attention of the universe source. Moreover, the evil god universe was in its twilight years and wasn't as terrifying as it was at its peak. Therefore, its power against external enemies had been weakened by many times. Even so, his power was still suppressed by the evil god universe's source by at least 50%. It was no wonder that life forms from different universes had to be extremely careful when entering other universes. After all, the suppression of strength was too severe. If they encountered a strong opponent, they would probably die. Moreover, if they offended the universe source, they would be targeted by the universe source. They would definitely be met with misfortune. At this moment, he could sense that an endless aura of misfortune was gathering towards him. I am a being of the evil god universe. In that instant, Xiaoping did not hesitate and immediately circulated the authority of the true demon god. Instantly, a supreme demonic god's power enveloped his entire body, seemingly distorting the origin laws of the universe. It was replacing origin laws of origin. It was God universe, of God universe source power. It was as if Xiaoping's aura had completely changed and fused with the fiend god universe, causing him to become a life form of the fiend god universe. It was as if he had been born in the fiend god universe. If he god of God of God he had it, one he of his a fake of world. It can't be. He really succeeded? Xiaoping's eyes widened. He found it unbelievable. The power of God universe was too terrifying. It was no wonder he was once one of the strongest demon gods in hell. This god power that could deceive all laws of the universe was amazing. If the evil god had such power, hell would not have survived for so long. It would have been devoured by the evil god universe the moment it was discovered. The more he thought about it, the more he realized how powerful the true demon god was. He wondered how such a demon god had fallen. The flow of time in the evil god universe is different from hell and the main universe. As a primordial sage, Xiaoping quickly sensed that the flow of time in the evil god universe was different from his own universe. In fact, it was normal for different universes to have different flow of time. Some had faster flow of time. Some had slower flow of time. Universes like hell and the main universe had the same flow of time. That was rare. He narrowed his eyes and sensed the laws of time and space. He got the ratio of the flow of time between the evil god universe and the main universe. Without a doubt, the flow of time in the evil god universe was much faster. A day in the main universe would be 100 years in the evil god universe. This was a terrifying ratio of time. It meant that if he stayed in the main universe for a few days, a few hundred years would pass in the evil god universe. On the other hand, even if a few thousand years passed in the evil god universe, only a few dozen days would pass in the main universe. The flow of time in the evil god universe is very fast. It seems like I can stay here for a long time. Xiaoping touched his chin and felt very satisfied. If he operated the eternal clock, he could adjust the flow of time. The problem was that it would consume a huge amount of energy. Even if he was rich, he could not afford such consumption. However, it was different in the evil god universe. He did not need much energy. Moreover, he was a primordial sage. He had an eternal lifespan. He did not need to care about the consumption of time. He did not need to worry about dying of old age. Let me study the situation of this place first. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and started to explore this place. At this moment, in the world of the classic of mountains and seas. What's going on? The internet has been disconnected. Tan Minglu, Chong Xiaoqian and the others shouted. Their faces were green like plants. They were fighting a crucial group battle and were about to be wiped out. However, the internet had been disconnected at this moment. It was unforgivable. They were filled with anger. It must be the regent. That bastard doesn't like us going online every day, so he disconnected us. Chong Xiaoqian gritted her teeth. This won't do. We have to find Master to solve this problem. We can skip meals, but we can't skip the internet. Tan Minglu shouted. The other Gaia Lolas could not help but nod in agreement. They could not imagine a life without the internet. It was worse than being in jail. Chapter 2865. Swoosh. At this moment, the green ox appeared beside Tan Minglu and the rest. Grandpa, what's going on with the internet? Why is it suddenly disconnected? Can you fix it quickly? When Chong Xiaoqian and the rest saw the green ox, They immediately looked for him like a broken computer player looking for the network manager to solve the problem. Oh, it's like this. Master has gone to another universe. The internet won't be able to be restored in a short period of time because there's no signal in another universe. The Green Ox explained. Another universe. Hearing this, Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Minglu, and the Gaia Lolis were confused. They had no concept of the universe, let alone other universes. It's like this. The Green Ox explained the concept of multiple universes to them. What? This bastard master has gone to another universe? How can he run so fast? And he even disconnected our internet? What should we do now? Tan Minglu's face turned green. She didn't care about going to another universe. To her, it was just a change of location. It wasn't a big deal. The most important problem now was that they had no way to go online. It was as if they had gone to a backward place without any signal. They were simply cut off from the world. Originally, there was no signal in the Hell world. However, after the black hole worm race opened up a spatial tunnel, they seemed to have introduced the universe virtual network signal into the Hell world. That was how they could go online in Hell. However, there was no way to go to the evil god universe. All the signals had been disconnected. It can't be. He went to another universe. The Gaia Lolis were stunned. They couldn't imagine that there were so many universes in this world. Furthermore, they were only living in one of them. It was an eye-opener. Furthermore, the other party had left their universe. Even the leader of their Gaia race couldn't do such a thing. What kind of terrifying person were they following? All of them were dumbfounded. That's right. Disconnecting the internet is a very serious matter. Can you get the regent to come back quickly? What's so good about going to another universe where there's no internet? Chong Xiaoqian shouted. I'm afraid not. Master won't be able to come back in a short period of time. The Green Ox shook his head. A short period of time? How short is that? Tan Minglu keenly sensed this problem. That's because the flow of time in the two universes is different. A day in the modern universe is 100 years in the Fiend God universe. Currently, Master will stay in the Fiend God universe for at least a few hundred years before returning, but only a few days might have passed in the modern universe. The Green Bull indicated that he would stay for at least a few hundred years. A few hundred years? It's over, it's completely over. I won't be able to go online for hundreds of years. I might as well just die. Tan Minglu and Chong Xiaoqian's faces were ashen. Thinking about how they couldn't go online for hundreds of years, it was like going to jail. No, it was even worse than going to jail. What did they do wrong? Did they have to be treated like this because they liked to play games online? To be honest, they couldn't imagine a life without access to the internet. Right? Doesn't the world of the classic of mountains and seas use spatial passageways? We can just run back to our original universe. There's no need to stay in this boring place with that bastard master. Tan Minglu immediately thought of this. This won't do. The spatial passageway can no longer be connected. The Green Ox shook his head, indicating that there was nothing he could do. The reason why the classic of mountains and seas could connect to different places was because it could sense the spatial node in another place. The two would resonate and form a spatial passageway. However, they were now in another universe and there was no way to sense the other spatial node. It was as if the signal had been blocked. It was impossible to use the world of the classic of mountains and seas to return to the current universe. Dead, I'm dead. There's no meaning to life anymore. With a thud, Tan Minglu and Chong Xiaoqian fell to the ground. Their faces were ashen, and their eyes had lost their color. White smoke came out of their mouths, and it was as if their souls had ascended to heaven. They were like salted fish, motionless. Seeing this, the Green Ox felt very helpless. Perhaps he could use this opportunity to cure their internet addiction, lest they continue to fall. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. During this period of time, Xia Ping had been carefully exploring this base. Then, according to the conversations of the surrounding void monsters, he found out that this place was called the Spacetime Palace. It was a base created by the evil god Key of the Door Yogeso Thoth and many other evil gods. It was the only base used to attack the hellish world. In reality, the evil gods weren't in a cooperative relationship. They were in a competitive relationship and they might even be enemies. They also had different camps. If the evil gods of different camps discovered a new universe, they would occupy it themselves, and the evil gods of other camps wouldn't interfere. Of course, the resources of the newly discovered universe would naturally belong to them. Moreover, Xia Ping also found out that the evil gods in this universe were usually in a deep sleep, or they would leave the evil god universe to find a new universe in the chaos. They usually wouldn't appear. The reason why they were in a deep sleep was because just being awake would consume a large amount of universe energy. This would speed up the destruction of the evil god universe. Therefore, most of the evil gods would hibernate to minimize the consumption of the universe. Only at the crucial moment would the evil god's minions awaken the evil god to fight. Of course, some powerful evil gods weren't willing to sleep, so they would leave the evil god universe to explore other places. If they could find a new universe, they would be able to obtain more resources and slow down the speed of the universe's decline. Apart from that, the structure of the evil god universe was also unique. It didn't have any so-called stars, and it gave birth to many worlds that were scattered in various corners of the evil god universe. It was said that the evil god universe had trillions of worlds, and there were countless living beings in them. Each evil god ruled at least hundreds of millions of worlds. Some powerful evil gods even ruled trillions of worlds, and their territories were extremely huge. All the lives and resources in these worlds belonged to this evil god, and other evil gods weren't allowed to dip their hands in it. If they wanted to dip their hands in it, there would be a god war. If it was in the past, the evil gods would often fight for territories, but now such situations were rare. To prevent the universe from being destroyed, they were all in a deep sleep and wouldn't easily wake up. Therefore, the territories of the evil god universe had already been divided, and there wouldn't be any more changes. Let's leave this time-space palace first. Xiaoping decided to leave this base and explore the various worlds in the evil god universe. He wanted to find a way to become a god or other cultivation resources. Chapter 2866. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Xiaoping walked around the worlds of the evil god universe. After a year, he had a rough understanding of the ordinary life forms of the evil god universe. In fact, the main life form of the evil god universe was the human race. They occupied the majority and could be found in every world. The problem was that the human race was also the weakest race and could be considered at the bottom. If one had to use a metaphor, it would be food. The evil gods didn't need the faith of humans at all. They fed on fear. The more fear there was, the stronger the evil gods would be. Therefore, they only needed to instill fear in humans and make them fear the evil gods. Because of this, the humans in this universe were extremely miserable. They would be slaughtered by the dependence of the evil gods at any moment. If the evil gods were in a mood, they would swallow the humans of an entire world and turn them into food. Even when the evil gods were in a deep sleep, many anomalies would be born in the various worlds. These anomalies and the dependence of the evil gods would also kill ordinary humans. Ordinary humans had no way of defending themselves. Of course, there were experts among the humans. The problem was that there were too few experts and they couldn't protect most of the humans. Most importantly, this universe had long been completely corroded by the power of the evil gods. Therefore, if humans wanted to obtain power, they had to be infected with the energy of the evil gods and believe in them to obtain power from the evil gods. The problem was that as weak humans, how could they resist the corrosion of the evil gods' power? Therefore, even if the human experts obtained great power, their lifespans were extremely short. Basically, they would be corroded by the evil gods' power. In the end, their souls and bodies would collapse and they would become monsters. Therefore, the humans in this universe had no hope. They were creatures that were like food. Food. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. The evil gods of this universe treated humans as food and he felt that the evil gods were food. To be honest, after entering this universe, the Hell Golden Crow bloodline in his body boiled and had the desire to devour. He wanted to burn the entire universe and sacrifice all the evil gods. Without a doubt, if he could sacrifice the entire evil god universe, he would definitely be able to raise his cultivation to an unprecedented realm and reach the supreme realm. Of course, he wasn't so stupid as to expose his strength. If the evil gods discovered him, he would definitely die. Currently, he still needed to develop in a wretched manner. He had to ascend to the realm of gods in order to be able to contend against the evil gods. However, even if he couldn't burn the evil god to death, he could still burn the evil god's dependents. These dependents were extremely strong and many of them were demigod experts. Their bodies also contained a large amount of evil energy which was very suitable as fuel. If he could burn most of the evil god's underlings to death, his cultivation would definitely improve tremendously. He might even be able to break through to the demigod realm in one go. In his eyes, the entire fiend god universe was a treasure trove. It was simply a supreme cultivation ground. If it's just me, the efficiency will be too low. Looks like I'll have to create some infernal golden crow dependents and have countless subordinates help me burn these evil god dependents to death. Then I'll take the opportunity to devour large amounts of origin energy. Xia Ping touched his chin. He thought of a way to increase the efficiency, and that was to create a large number of infernal golden crow dependents and have them spread throughout the evil god universe. If there were enough dependents, even if each of them sacrificed one of the evil god's dependents, it would still add up to a tremendous amount of energy. This was using the power of all living beings to cultivate. Also, if the targets were scattered, he would be less likely to expose himself. Using the humans of this universe to deal with the evil gods would also accelerate the destruction of the evil god universe. On the world of Dalos, there was a small village where hundreds of people lived. There were too many such villages in this world. But at this moment, the quiet and peaceful village leader was destroyed. Flames were burning everywhere, broken walls were everywhere, bodies were everywhere, and blood flowed like rivers. Dense cracks appeared on the ground. A horrifying weird bird appeared. It looked like a bird, but its head was like a horse's head. Its wings were like those of a bat, and its body was even larger than an elephant, covered in scales. Its skin was filthy, and its claws were very powerful. Its cries were as ear-piercing as scratching glass. It was tearing the bodies on the ground and seemed to be enjoying its dinner. It was the Syatak weird bird, a subordinate of the evil god. At this moment, a middle-aged man whose face was covered in blood, knelt on the ground in grief and wailed with wounds all over his body. Why? Why exactly? Lord Syatak, our village has been offering tributes day and night. Why did you kill everyone in our village? The so-called tributes were human beings. Because the strange birds like to eat people, the people in the village chose to send out a person every few days as food for the strange birds in order to survive. It was a reward for their lives. But even so, no one knew how many people they sent to die as food, but the Syatak weird bird still killed everyone in the village. I'm hungry. The Syatak weird bird glanced at him and said lightly, Hungry? Hearing that, the middle-aged man clenched his fists so hard that his nails dug into his flesh. Even though blood flowed out, he did not feel any pain. Because no matter how painful his body was, it was not as painful as the pain in his heart. Because the Syatak weird bird was hungry, his elderly parents, his beautiful wife, and 2 lovely children were all dead. All dead. They were all eaten by the Syatak weird bird. He could still see the broken limbs on the ground as well as the blood splattered all over the ground. Just because you're hungry, you killed my entire family and slaughtered my entire village. What kind of fucking joke is this? The middle-aged man shouted angrily. He was incomparably furious. He had endured for decades, always bowing and scraping, enduring humiliation. But even if he had endured until the end, there was no way for him to survive. Bootlickers always got nothing in the end. The Syatak weird bird said it was hungry and the entire village died. All the effort he had put in and all the humiliation he had endured had been in vain. Why were humans treated as food by these monsters and crushed to death like ants? Why? Angry? Food can be angry too? You are just humans. You are just our food. But you dared to attack me. This is a crime punishable by death. I will eat you, the Syatak weird bird said calmly. The strange bird said calmly. To it, this was a matter of course. Whether the other party was angry or happy, it had nothing to do with it. Sogu website. Chapter 2867. It's over. It's dead. That's good too. Father, mother, wife, child, I'm coming to see you. But even if I die, I'll at least bite off a piece of your flesh. When the middle-aged man saw the strange bird attack, his face turned ashen. He knew he was no match for this monster. He couldn't hurt it even if he used all his strength. Even so, he had to show his anger. He was going to die anyway. What was there to be afraid of? Dong. At that moment, a figure descended from the sky. A big hand grabbed the strange bird's head and slammed it into the ground. A huge crater was created. What? The middle-aged man's eyes widened in disbelief. He knew how terrifying the strange bird was. Even if a normal human used all his strength, he wouldn't be able to hurt it. However, the person who had suddenly appeared had slapped the strange bird to the ground as easily as smashing tofu. What kind of monstrous strength was that? Before he could figure out what was going on, he saw a dark golden flame appear in the figure's hand. Rumble. In the next second, the strange bird's body was burned by the flame. The strange bird let out a shrill scream. It was more miserable than a pig being slaughtered. It didn't take long for the strange bird to be burned to ashes, leaving no bones behind. It's dead? It died just like that. The middle-aged man swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He couldn't believe his eyes. This terrifying monster that could easily slaughter an entire village was actually killed by this mysterious human so easily. No, he had been burned to death. He had been burned to ashes. This mysterious person was none other than Xia Ping. Do you want to have power? Do you want to kill these monsters with your own hands? Xia Ping came in front of the middle-aged man and said directly, "What?" The middle-aged man was shocked. His heart was in turmoil. Countless thoughts appeared in his mind, but he only said 3 words. "I do." At that moment he understood. It didn't matter if this human was a demon, a god, or if he wanted to use him or do something else. He wanted the power to kill these monsters. Anyway, his home was gone, his family was gone, his wife was gone, and his children were gone. But he was still alive. He wanted revenge. He wanted to take revenge on these monsters who regarded humans as ants. Even if he were to die now, he would drag a few monsters down with him. He wanted to let those monsters know that humans were not food that they could easily kill. That's good. Xia Ping gently tapped the middle-aged man's forehead with his finger, and a drop of dark golden blood immediately seeped into the deepest part of his body. Rumble, in an instant, the middle-aged man felt that his body was filled with power. His injuries were completely healed, and even the blood in his body began to burn. Dark golden flames were emitting from every pore of his body. His entire body seemed to have turned into a man of fire. Such flames seemed to be able to incinerate everything. However, the middle-aged man did not panic. Instead, he felt a sense of security. It was as if the power of this flame originated from the deepest part of his bloodline and was a part of his power. "Why did you give me power? What kind of power was this? What do you need me to do?" The middle-aged man looked at Xia Ping and suppressed the excitement in his heart. If he had such power in the past, the people around him might not have died. But he also knew that it was not so simple to obtain power. He had to pay a price. This is the power of the Furnace Lord. It requires its believers to sacrifice all evil creatures as a reward. The more evil creatures you sacrifice, the greater the reward you receive. Xia Ping explained. He wanted to call himself the Lord of Hell, but after careful consideration, he could not reveal his identity. Otherwise, the evil gods would know that enemies from other universes had come to their universe and would search for them. When that happened, he would be in big trouble. It did not conform to the principle of wretched growth. So, he changed to a more suitable name and called himself the Furnace Master. It was indeed suitable. It could burn all evil creatures and smelt everything. Sacrifice evil creatures? What are evil creatures? The middle-aged man was stunned. Evil ghosts, evil spirits, evil gods' minions, and even evil gods. Xia Ping said. What? Evil god? The middle-aged man was shocked and couldn't help but swallow his saliva. He had also heard that there were many evil gods in the world, and the believers had also offered many sacrifices. However, all of them were the most precious treasures in the world, or human beings or something like that. He had never heard of a god in the world who needed those evil creatures as sacrifices. Moreover, they wanted to sacrifice evil gods. Just how terrifying were they? Without a doubt, this was a terrifying god that ate evil gods. His greatness exceeded his imagination. Waves rose up in the depths of his heart. Right, what is your name? Xia Ping looked at the middle-aged man. I am Brower. The middle-aged man said solemnly. Very good. Remember, you are not allowed to say anything about the Furnace Master. Otherwise you will definitely die. Xia Ping took out the cause and effect book and recorded the middle-aged man's name. Instantly, the cause and effect book recorded the middle-aged man's name and established a cause and effect relationship. Once Brower leaked news about the Furnace Master, he would instantly die. Once he was on the life and death book, his life and death would be up to the heavens and not him. This was also Xia Ping's method to reduce the chance of exposing his identity. Even if one of his dependents was captured, he wouldn't be able to expose his news and the exact location of the Furnace Master. Of course, he had benefits too. At least after he was on the life and death book, he wouldn't be affected by the evil god's power and wouldn't be easily tracked. I understand. The middle-aged man nodded his head seriously. He knew how terrifying the god was. Once he called his name, he would be sensed, and no matter where he fled to, he would definitely die. As a life form from the evil god universe, he knew about such laws. Very good. Xia Ping pointed, and instantly he was enlightened. He imparted a portion of the middle-aged man's cultivation techniques, combat techniques, and also how to create the Furnace Master dependents. Actually, as long as one had a bit of Hell Golden Crow bloodline, one would become a dependent. This was the terrifying corrosive ability of the demon god bloodline. This was why even dependents could be created. As more and more evil god dependents and beings were sacrificed, the bloodline in their bodies would get thicker and thicker and they would become stronger and stronger. Chapter 2868. When the number of Hell Crow dependents in this universe increased, he wouldn't need to do it himself. It would be like a rolling snowball, one leading the other, constantly growing stronger. With a thud, the middle-aged man, Brower, groaned and fainted on the ground. It was obvious that his soul couldn't handle so many memories, so he temporarily fainted. However, when he woke up, he would be fully recovered. In fact, Xiaoping had found thousands of dependents like Brower in this world. They were scattered all over this world to be the seeds of the furnace. As long as these seeds completely grew, they would quickly germinate. That's right, I still have to leave hell ants in this world. Xiaoping waved his hand and a chubby hell queen ant immediately appeared in his palm. This was also the origin of the hell ants. The huge hell ants were all born from the hell queen ants. There were many similar hell queen ants in the world of the classic of mountains and seas. There were billions of them and they were constantly multiplying. At the same time, he had also forcefully turned these hell queen ants into dependents and integrated them with the nether god curse. Therefore, these hell ants could be considered his capable subordinates. Originally, these hell ants were creatures from the hell world and would be targeted by the fiend god universe's origin. However, Xiaoping had used the power of the true demon god to deceive the origin laws of this universe, causing the hell ants to become the native creatures of this universe. Therefore, the fiend god universe's origin would not continue to target the hell ants. Go and reproduce in this world. There are no natural enemies of the hell ants in this world. Therefore, every underground corner of this world is the territory of the hell ants. Xiaoping said to the hell queen ant, "Yes, master." The hellish mother ant was excited. A world without any natural enemies was simply a paradise. To the hellish ant race, this was unparalleled good news. Whoosh! In an instant, Xiaoping waved his hand and immediately sent the hell queen ant into the deepest part of a cave in a mountain. Currently, the hell queen ant was at its weakest. When it grew billions of hell ants, it would be able to sweep everything. Moreover, they basically ate everything. They ate soil, iron, living creatures, lava, nether ghosts, and evil spirits. They were not picky at all. No matter where they went, they would be able to survive. As long as they were given enough time, they would be able to grow quickly. The number of hellish ants couldn't exceed 100 million. If there were more than 100 million, they would be invincible. In this world, with the Furnace Lord's dependents as seeds and the hellish ants as backup troops, it wouldn't be long before this world would be completely ruled by him. Moreover, most of the evil gods in the evil god universe were in deep slumber. They wouldn't wake up easily, so now was the best time to poach them. When these evil gods awaken, the entire universe will change. There will be followers and followers of the Furnace Lord everywhere. Alright, let's go to the next world. With a thought, Xiaoping scanned the entire world and immediately decided to head to the next world. After all, there were trillions of great thousand worlds in the evil god universe. He had only laid the foundation in one of the great thousand worlds, and it was far from being the beginning. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. During the past 3 years, Xiaoping had transformed into tens of millions of clones. As the master of the furnace, he had traveled through millions upon millions of worlds, spreading the seeds of the furnace and the hellish ants. Because of that, the hellish golden crows were everywhere. Although these dependents hadn't fully grown up, they had already started to show their prowess in various worlds. They had burned numerous evil god dependents to death. As the hellish golden crow, the master of the furnace, he had obtained huge benefits. Endless source energy surged over, causing the many hellish golden crow cells in his body to awaken. One could say that he had obtained huge benefits this time, and his strength had increased crazily. Master, there is a problem. Just at that moment, Xiaoping was planning to continue spreading the seeds to increase dependence, but the green cow's voice rang out in his mind. What happened? Xiaoping asked. Come in and take a look. Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Minglu and the others have gone crazy. The green cow's voice was filled with helplessness. Crazy? What is going on? Thinking about this, Xiaoping's body flashed and he returned to the classic of mountain and sea world. Instantly he saw Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Minglu and a few Gaia Lolas fishing by the river. This was totally unprecedented. When did these Lolas learn to fish? This was unheard of. He understood what the green cow was worried about right away. It seemed like they had indeed gone crazy. Oh, master is here. Tan Menglu glanced at Xia Ping indifferently. Then she focused on fishing. What are you all doing? Xia Ping's mouth twitched. As master can see, we are fishing. Tan Menglu gave off the aura of an enlightened monk. She seemed to have seen through the mortal world, and her aura seemed to have merged with heaven and earth. Fishing? Why aren't you fishing? Why aren't you going online? Xia Ping asked. When they heard the word online, Tan Menglu, Chong Xiaoqian and the other lowless bodies shuddered. But very quickly they calmed down. Go online? What is going online? Something like the internet is just a cloud to me. It doesn't matter. Only fishing can bring us peace of mind. Tan Menglu's words were filled with wisdom. That's right. Ever since I stopped going online, I realized that this world is incomparably beautiful. The sky is so blue, the trees are so green. Even the world is so vast. I can go on excursions with my friends, fish, pick flowers, climb mountains, fly kites, and so on. After leaving the internet world, my life suddenly became vivid and fulfilling. Chong Xiaoqian sighed, expressing that her life had been very fulfilling recently. Previously, she went online every day and spent money playing games. It was a waste of time, life, and money. Now she was a little regretful. Life now was so good. It was simply rich and colorful. It didn't consume money, and it was green and environmentally friendly. She felt that her moral cultivation and mental state had improved a lot. Then why don't you bring bait when you go fishing? Xia Ping acutely sensed that there was a problem. This is called taking the bait willingly. Do you know how to fish? All you do is kill and destroy flowers and plants. You don't even know how to cultivate your emotions. You're just a boorish man. Chong Xiaoqian said in disdain. That's right. This is the supreme realm of fishing. People like you who have never fished before will not understand. Tan Menglu also looked down on Xia Ping. The other Gaia Lolis also nodded vigorously. Didn't you eat all the bait just now? Little Gold blinked and looked at Tan Menglu. What bait? That's a snack. Even though she was exposed, Tan Menglu's expression did not change. Chapter 2869. Cough, cough. Hearing that, Xia Ping coughed. I see. I was a little worried that you guys would have psychological problems after not going online for so long. I didn't expect you guys to have reached the level of a monk. Looks like I underestimated you guys. Master, you're being too serious. It's just the internet. It's not that I can't do without it, it's that the internet can't do without us. Tan Menglu waved her hand, indicating that she was no longer the girl who was addicted to the internet. After 4 years of being disconnected from the internet, she had already seen through the world. It was nothing without the internet. It's just the internet. Without Butcher Zhang, you won't be able to eat pigs. Chong Xiaoqian said in disdain. She had already adapted to the world without the internet. As a king, her self-control was extremely strong. That's good. After all, we might have to stay here for a few thousand years. Looks like you guys have adapted to the world without the internet. I'm relieved. Xia Ping was very satisfied. Just as Xia Ping finished speaking, Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu fell to the ground. They seemed to be unable to take it anymore. Their eyes rolled back and they foamed at the mouth. They fell to the ground and kept convulsing. It's over. Big Sister Menglu is going to die. Sister Xiaoqian's mind is severely injured. She's in danger. Pinch her philtrum. Quick, pinch her philtrum. When the Gaia Lola saw this, they immediately screamed and panicked. They pinched their philtrum and gave them mouth-to-mouth resuscitation before they were saved. Sob, sob, why did you save me? In a world without the internet, I'd rather die. At this moment, Tan Menglu woke up and wailed, Bastard master, do you know how I've been living for the past 4 years? It's been like a year. This is hell, no, a place even scarier than hell. In this godforsaken place, there are no games to play, no newbies to abuse, and no netizens to brag. Who doesn't know that netizens are all geniuses? I've been looking at the blue sky and white clouds for 4 years. I'm sick of it. Now you're telling me that I have to watch for a few thousand years? You might as well just kill me. You're a demon. Regent, let us go back. This is a godforsaken place. I don't want to be a king anymore. I can abdicate my throne to you. Chong Xiaoqian hugged Xia Ping's leg and cried. The corner of Xia Ping's mouth twitched. Not only did the 4 years of disconnection not solve their addiction, it even worsened their condition. Didn't you say that you don't need the internet? Xia Ping said. Bullshit, it's all bullshit. In fact, without the internet, every day feels like a year. I can't even stand a second. Tan Menglu expressed that she wasn't going to act pretentious anymore. She had been bragging just now. That's right, I can testify. Sister Menglu used to eat over 100 tons a day, but now she's only eating 99.9 tons. She's in a bad mood and is starving. Chong Xiaoqian raised her hand to testify. I can tell. Xia Ping was speechless. That's why we should hurry back. What kind of bullshit universe is this? There's no internet or games. It's not good at all. Tan Minglu and Chong Xiaoqian looked at Xia Ping helplessly. It's hard to go back. That space-time tunnel is currently occupied by Evil God Universe's evil god. I can't go back in a short period of time. Xia Ping found an excuse because he hadn't completed his plan. How could he want to go back so quickly? We're dead. We're completely dead. Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu lay limply on the ground. Their faces were ashen, and they seemed to have no strength left in them. But it isn't like there's no way. Just at that moment, Xia Ping changed the topic. What way? Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu opened their eyes wide and stared at Xia Ping. That is to open a new space-time tunnel to connect Evil God Universe and Hell World. That way we can avoid Evil God surveillance and enter Evil God Universe and Hell World freely. Xia Ping gave them an idea. Then what are we waiting for? Let's open it up. Tan Menglu's eyes lit up and she was a little eager. Right, it is just digging a space-time tunnel. My black hole bug race is good at digging space-time tunnels. This is just a small matter for black hole bugs. Chong Xiaoqian shouted. She expressed that this was the talent of her race and it was just a small matter. No, you guys are too weak. The distance between universes is very far. Moreover, there are chaotic currents that can obliterate all matter. At the very least, you have to advance to the primordial saint realm, or even the primordial saint realm to be able to do this. Xia Ping shook his head. Then let's advance. Right, even if we die, we have to dig a space-time tunnel. Whoever dares to stop us from going online, we will kill them. Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu gritted their teeth and gave off a vengeful aura. Right, we can help too. The few Gaia Lolas shouted too. Me too. Little Gold cheered from the side. When he saw that, Xia Ping's mouth twitched. Before this, he had thought of many ways to make the few of them cultivate hard, but no matter what he did, it was to no avail. If they weren't eating and sleeping, they were playing games. But now, for the sake of going online, the few of them were totally crazy. It was as if they had unprecedented motivation and wanted to raise their strength. Truthfully speaking, he wasn't lying. In truth, Evil God Universe was in a state of destruction and there were space-time wormholes everywhere. Using these wormholes, one could head to other universes. But to head to other universes, the most important thing was the space-time tunnel. Without a stable and hidden space-time tunnel, one would be wiped out by the chaotic energy currents. He didn't have time to do such things and there was no need. After all, he could use the space-time tunnel that Evil God opened at any time. But if Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu were willing to help and had the strength to help, naturally, it would be better to open up a new hidden space-time tunnel. That way, even if he destroyed the space-time tunnel that Evil God built, he could use other tunnels to enter Evil God Universe. Moreover, it would be safer that way. It was like opening a back door to Evil God Universe. Moreover, the black hole worm did have such strength, especially the black hole worm king. Her talent was unprecedented, and after merging with the Hell Golden Crow Demon God bloodline, it totally changed her talents. She could definitely open a space-time tunnel in the chaotic space. But in the past, she spent all her time gaming and wasted her talent. But if she cultivated again because of this matter, she would definitely be able to raise her cultivation quickly. Moreover, Xia Ping had large amounts of time fruits, space fruits, world fruits, etc. They could increase their strength quickly. Since that is the case, then I will leave this to you. Xia Ping smiled. Don't worry, it is just a space-time tunnel. We will deal with it quickly. Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Menglu and the few other Lolas shouted loudly and they were filled with confidence. Chapter 2870. Brother. At that moment, Gaia and Dumbo appeared beside Xia Ping. Dumbo, you're awake? Xia Ping smiled. He sensed that Dumbo's strength had improved a lot compared to before. She had advanced to the peak of the Middle Ages Saint realm. Her cultivation speed was many times faster than the other Gaias. This was also thanks to the Golden Crow of Hell's bloodline in her body. It enhanced her aptitude, making her Gaia aptitude surpass all the previous Gaias. After all, even if Gaia was the darling of this era of the universe, it was impossible to compare to an ultimate demon like the Golden Crow of Hell. The Gaia race only had the potential to become an ultimate race, but it did not mean that they would definitely succeed. However, the golden crow of hell had become an ultimate existence. The two could not be compared at all. In terms of bloodline power, it surpassed Gaia by leaps and bounds. At the same time, the multiple evolutions of the classic of mountains and seas had given her great benefits. This is Gaia. It's Gaia? Seeing Dumbo appear, the Gaia Lolas were dumbfounded. They did not expect to see another Gaia in this place. Moreover, it was not a predecessor born in Gaia Paradise, but a member of the race who had wandered outside. However, although this was very rare, it did not mean that it would not happen. After all, the birth of Gaia was a miracle of the universe. Even the predecessors of the Gaia race did not know how Gaia was born. It was normal that they did not know of Dumbo's existence. After all, Dumbo had been in a deep sleep and had never met these Gaia Lolas. At that moment they looked at each other. Although they did not know how this human contracted Gaia, it seemed that Sister Gaia had not been mistreated. Immediately they had a good impression of Xia Ping. Yes, I just woke up because I suddenly sensed that I seem to have come to a place full of disasters. I feel that this place seems to be of great benefit to my cultivation. Gaia Dumbo said. I see. Xia Ping immediately understood why Dumbo had woken up. This was because Dumbo's talent was disaster. She controlled the endless disaster laws and could devour the endless power of disasters. The more natural and man-made disasters there were, the more it could strengthen Dumbo's power. And in this world, was there a disaster more terrifying than the collapse of the universe, the destruction of the universe, and the reincarnation of Eras? The evil god universe was facing an extremely terrifying disaster, and everywhere was filled with the aura of disaster. One could imagine the benefits of such a place for Dumbo. If Dumbo could devour enough disaster energy, there would be no bottlenecks in her cultivation. She might even be able to become a sovereign god who could control disaster energy. At that time, wherever she went, all disasters would retreat. With a single command, the enemy would instantly suffer countless disasters. Let me help with the matter regarding the space-time tunnel, Dumbo said. Although she did not know how to excavate the space-time tunnel, she could help to resist the disaster that would occur during the excavation. After all, digging a stable space-time tunnel, especially in the primal chaos void, was dangerous. That's great, big sister. You're still the most reliable at crucial times. With a swoosh, Tan Menglu flew over and hugged Dumbo's thigh, constantly flattering him. Haha, with my Grand Marshal of the Armed Forces making a move, the matter has been settled. Chong Xiaoqian gave Dumbo the title of Grand Marshal of the Armed Forces. However, Xia Ping did not interfere in this matter and let them act on their own. At the same time, he also used the power of the true demon god to conceal their aura, so that they would not be targeted by the evil god universe's origin. In the blink of an eye, several hundred years had passed in the evil god universe. During this period of time, Xia Ping had traveled through billions of Great Thousand Worlds. His footprints covered every corner of the Great Thousand Worlds, leaving behind countless furnace seeds, which gave birth to a large number of infernal golden crow dependents. At the same time, these infernal golden crow dependents were constantly developing and taking in large numbers of disciples. It could be said that the number of dependents was increasing at a geometric rate. In just a few hundred years, these dependents had already gained considerable influence in various Great Thousand Worlds. They had even made a name for themselves and were known as furnace wizards by the world. Many evil god dependents, evil spirits, monsters and other creatures were extremely afraid of these furnace wizards, because the flames on their bodies could easily burn them to death. Such flames were like the natural nemesis of evil creatures. In the past, they had been tyrannical and used humans as food, causing many worlds to enter an era of darkness and ignorance. Countless humans had led extremely miserable lives. What they relied on was their evil body and their undying body. Weak humans couldn't even cause them any harm, let alone resist. However, it was different now. The flames on these furnace wizards could burn everything. Once they came into contact with them, they would die without a doubt. Even their souls would be burned to ashes. One could imagine how much these evil creatures feared the furnace wizards. Originally, these evil creatures wanted to exterminate the furnace wizards. However, the speed at which the furnace wizards grew was simply too fast. As long as they burned these evil creatures to death, they would be able to strengthen the power of their bloodline, causing their strength to increase greatly. It could be said that it did not take long for the furnace wizards to grow into the experts of their respective worlds. If not for the fear of the evil god, who knew how many evil god dependents would have been burned to death. During this period of time, the hell ants had also developed greatly. Every sector had a nest of hell ants, and their numbers reached trillions. They simply covered the underground of a large world, and they'd obviously become overlord-level beings. Everywhere they went, it was simply like the end of the world, and they swept through everything and completely devoured all living beings and matter. Because the Furnace Wizards and the Hell Ants were both dependents of Xia Ping, they had a natural affinity with each other. To a certain extent, the Furnace Wizards could also borrow the power of the Hell Ants. Therefore, with the terrifying power of the Hell Ants, the Furnace Wizards had escaped disaster after disaster, causing countless enemies and forces who tried to exterminate the Furnace Wizards to die. Due to the efforts of these Furnace Wizards, Xia Ping also took the opportunity to devour a large amount of cosmic origin energy, allowing his body to store a huge amount of energy. At the same time, his cultivation rose to the peak. He was just one step away from comprehending the law of life and death and becoming an invincible saint. In fact, without the efforts of these Furnace Wizards, he did not know how long it would take for him to accumulate enough energy to become an invincible saint after burning so many evil god dependents. Chapter 2871. Due to the large increase in the number of Furnace Wizards, it attracted the attention of many evil god dependents. The appearance of Furnace Wizards in particular greatly threatened their survival. Damn, where did these Furnace Wizards come from? I'm not sure. Until now we haven't found out where their power comes from. It must be the power of some evil god. Otherwise it wouldn't be so terrifying. It's simply restraining all our powers. They're just humans, but they actually dare to grasp power that can threaten us. They're asking for death. Many evil god dependents gritted their teeth. They were very unhappy with the appearance of Furnace Wizards because they were the only ones who could grasp power in this world. Other creatures were just ants and food. They couldn't grasp any power. Kill them. We must kill these Furnace Wizards. Some evil god dependents hollered in rage. They hated these Furnace Wizards to the bone. No, these Furnace Wizards are too cunning and very strong. They can even challenge those of a higher level. The flames on their bodies are extremely terrifying. If dozens of Furnace Wizards gather together, they can even sacrifice powerful monsters. Legend has it that they can also control the terrifying monsters that have been flooding the various worlds recently. Some evil god dependents were very helpless. They had long wanted to wipe out these Furnace Wizards, but the problem was that these Furnace Wizards not only grew extremely fast, but they could also challenge those of a higher level. They even grouped up and attacked in groups of tens or hundreds. Countless evil god dependents had died in the hands of these Furnace Wizards. One had to know that monsters were still rare in the evil god universe. The race with the highest population was humans. If they exchanged monsters for monsters, no matter how one looked at it, the evil god dependents would be at a disadvantage. Most importantly, being a Furnace Wizard did not seem to require much aptitude. Anyone could become a Furnace Wizard and control the terrifying power of fire. This profession completely treated the evil god dependents as cultivation resources. It seemed like as long as they killed them, they would be able to rapidly increase the power of the Furnace Wizards. This made the Furnace Wizards even crazier. Anyway, these evil creatures and evil god dependents were natural enemies of humans. Killing them was the duty of humans. Now, killing these guys could actually increase one's strength. It could be said that many Furnace Wizards had appeared all over the world to hunt monsters. In the past, when humans encountered freaks, monsters would always avoid them. But now, he actually took the initiative to look for them, hunting them everywhere. Instead, they were scared into hiding. What kind of joke was this? Evil god. There must be a powerful evil god behind these Furnace Wizards. Otherwise, these humans wouldn't be able to control such power. An evil god follower roared. This is no longer something we can solve. Let's report this to the evil god. As long as the evil god personally takes action and captures the evil god behind the Furnace Wizards, these Furnace Wizards will lose their source of power and become obedient food. This world will still be the evil god's world. Mere humans won't be able to do anything. An evil god's follower laughed coldly. I had planned to awaken Lord Evil God before, but he is still in a deep slumber and cannot be awakened for the time being. We can only deal with this matter on our own for now. No way, Lord Evil God is still asleep. When will he wake up? No one knows. After all, it's normal for Lord Evil God to sleep for thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of years. The faces of the Evil God's followers became solemn. Naturally, they knew that. To Evil God, just a nap would take a few thousand years. A few hundred years wasn't enough for him to wake up. As his followers, they didn't dare to disturb his sleep. Once he was furious, they would all die. The problem was that they didn't expect the furnace wizards to develop so quickly. In just a few hundred years, their strength could compare to some ancient organizations. That was just too terrifying. They didn't dare to believe that if this continued, how terrifying would the furnace wizards become. But there was nothing they could do. Without evil god's help, they could only solve it themselves. No matter what, they had to kill all the furnace wizards. From that moment on, many evil god minions started to fight back and started a war with the furnace wizards. The flames of war spread everywhere and many battles broke out. It was really intense. Many of the furnace wizards and evil god followers died. At that moment, mountain and ocean world. Just a little bit more and I will reach half-god realm. Xia Ping's eyes shone brightly. He could feel that his body was filled with an extreme amount of magic power. Every single cell in his body was filled with boundless origin energy. He felt like he could level up at any moment. The world law power in his body was basically full. At that moment he felt like he could touch the essence of life and death laws. He sensed the power of life and death. In truth, as the Lord of Hell, he could sense the power of life and death. Hell itself was the place where life and death intersected. There was no place that had more death and life power than hell. Hell was the end of all life and also the beginning of life. No, I can't do it now. Before I reach half-god realm, I have to cultivate the origin clone technique. Xia Ping sensed that if he were to advance to the demigod stage and successfully cultivate the origin doppelganger technique, he would have to pay a huge price. Moreover, he had already successfully condensed 5 doppelgangers. He was only 4 away from completing his cultivation. In reality, he had already decided on his 6th clone, which was the Taotai clone. This was the power of Tan Minglu, and the Taotai divine beast was also an extremely powerful creature. Its power was not to be underestimated, and it had the ability to devour, making it very suitable for his 6th clone. Even so, he still had 3 clones that he had yet to form. He had to find the blood that was suitable for the 3 clones. Fortunately, the evil god universe didn't have many things. There were many creatures with all sorts of special bloodlines, and the evil god universe had given birth to many strong creatures and evil gods. Especially those evil gods, they were no weaker than the demon gods of hell. Their bloodlines were extremely strong too. If he could get the bloodline power of those evil gods, he would definitely be able to make Xia Ping's origin clone technique perfect. It would also greatly increase his power. Fallen God Land. Xia Ping immediately thought of this name. In fact, he had been collecting information about the evil god universe for the past few hundred years. The most famous place was the Fallen God Land. Sogu website. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.